Hello. Oh,
Oh, my camera moved.
oh no, did it?
Yep. I don't understand why this is happening.
Oh God. Oh, it's off to a great start. There we go. We
It
fix.
every time I click off the screen or something, I don't know, it moves my camera.
That's weird. Hmm. Hi everybody. How's it go? Oh, they can't hear us. Now they can. Hello everybody.
Should be able to hear me, I think.
No, I know. It's because I had it
Yeah.
muted by
I meant on
accident.
mine.
Mm.
And everybody
Can
should be
y'all
able to
hear?
hear
I
you.
can't. Fair. I don't know why the poll thing is lit up like that, but we'll see what happens. Oh, it's going. There we go.
Mine appears to just always be on.
Heh.
Hello. Hello, Furball.
Hello.
So,
How's it going?
we've set up Magic Chat so that if you type in one channel, it goes there. So, if I
Now, for some reason, it's not working for me. That was really slow.
It might be slow for you. Mine's working just
Cool.
fine.
Cool.
Magic.
I'll close some things. Make the CPU run a little nicer. Magic.
You need a new CPU.
I need a new fucking computer.
Comes with the territory.
It's fair.
My green screen, I apologize, might be a little funky because of the lighting. It's really like the sun's bearing down on me. I was expecting it to be darker out, but it's not.
It's fair. Oh, so fancy. Oh, that came up. Okay, it's loading. That's good. There we go. The screen looks great. Wonderful.
So
It's going.
I don't
Yay.
even need to technically look at my chat. It's right here. Either
Yeah,
of
it's
chats.
perfect.
That's nice.
I can just. This is like the one time where I could just stare at OBS. I don't have to deal with a game like in a
Yeah.
windowed version.
Could
Or on
even
another monitor.
could even project it full screen. You probably shouldn't do that.
I probably should. My computer would explode. Anyway, hi everybody. Welcome to Book Club. We weren't really quite sure of a name that we wanted to call it, so we've named it the name of the book club for now.
Well, technically, it's correct because that is the name of the book club.
It is. It's the name of the book club. That's what everyone. Anytime someone asks, "What's the name of the book club?" The answer is yes.
Yeah. So
Kanji died for this. No. All right. How should we start? Do we want to talk about, like, give a synopsis, maybe?
So I think your chat's gonna be more active. So I'm actually gonna change over my poll thing to point at yours.
Oh, okay, cool. I don't know how fast the poll thing is gonna happen, but we'll see. I also wish I could play music in the background, but my computer just hates me.
Yeah, that's interesting. Mine just shows your latest poll, even though yours didn't. Even though
Oh,
yours is
weird.
blank. I don't know what setting.
I don't know.
Um. So. The screen looks great. Good. Um.
You know what I might do? I might put on. I'm gonna test something for folks. Maybe people can hear this. No, not skip the dishes. I'm gonna put on some ambient music, and you can let me know if you hear it on stream.
I
turn
won't be
that
able
on.
to, but.
Right. Alright.
Oh, I could hear that.
Is that too loud?
It's a bit loud.
Okay, I can turn it down.
Why can I hear it? Is it just.
I mean, it's from my phone.
Oh, it's like on speakers.
Yeah. Got my book and my notes. Hell yeah. You got our books. Or I got my book. Can people on stream hear the background music? Is it too loud?
It cuts out
Or is it just not allowed?
whenever you stop talking because it's considered noise.
Oh. That's a problem.
Oh, I should probably hit Oh, I am recording. I record it automatically. I forgot about that.
I'm gonna fix my noise suppression. I'm just gonna get rid of it. You don't need it. Alright, let's try that.
You ever do those reading tests in school? You're at a grade 12 level apparently by the time you're in 7th grade. Wow, look at you.
I mean, yeah.
I remember when kids got
That's a
moved
move.
up class and down a class. That was always so weird. It's
Yeah.
like this person read a book faster than you, so now they're in 6th grade
Yeah, it was
or
very strange.
2nd grade or whatever.
Yeah, I remember going like at my high school. It was a like the system was that if you were, I guess, I don't know, faster at something or like learn quicker to learn something, you would go to the what they called IB class. So I think I got moved there once, but it wasn't really any different.
Right. I need to change the light in here.
I love to do those reading tests. I was the math whiz who always struggled with those reading comprehension ones. Ah, I need to escape Lamau.
Lamau.
Lamau. Lameow.
And his sister, Limbao.
Lumfao. That video is so good. Alright. Shall we get into a synopsis, maybe?
Yes, so,
Read the back of the book.
if everybody is here, which they'll probably appear as we go on.
Yeah.
So the way we've set this up is, or the way we've kind of planned this out, is I have taken some notes for each chapter, some summaries for each chapter, and I will read out a chapter and we will talk about that chapter if we, or that's the plan at least. If we don't have anything to say about that chapter, we'll just move on to the next one. And there's a lot of chapters in this book. The chapters are like sometimes 2 pages. So
Yes.
we may end up skipping over a bunch of them.
And some of those chapters are some of the best, or at least one of them is my favorite for like one specific reason.
I really like the interlude ones.
Yeah, they're nice.
If people have anything they want to say, just throw it in chat. We'll try to respond to it.
Yeah.
We'll try to pause a little bit for people to type after each
Yes.
chapter. Yeah, so then once we do that, we'll touch on some. The music cuts out every like
Oh, for me, is that
Yeah.
distracting? Sorry.
a little bit.
I can not do that.
Your noise filter is causing it to cut out.
Which is weird because it's not really. That's fine. I'll just have my noise filter back.
It's because it's a constant
music for me.
noise, I think.
Ah, that's fair. No music for me. That's okay.
What was I saying? Oh yeah, so after that we'll go through and we will talk about in specific notes related to the story that we've taken.
Yeah.
All right, so this book, The Name of the Wind, Patrick Rothfuss, starts with a prologue. So I will begin reading the prologue. It's night at the Waystone Inn, and 2 men are talking. A red-haired man is cleaning the bar, and Rothfuss gets all poetic about silence. which he tends to get poetic about things.
He does like that.
He does do that. Anything to say? That chapter was pretty much just a setup for me.
Yeah, it felt like it was. I mean, it was a good introduction to like the writing style. Honestly, like in that he leans into the more poetic when he wants to.
Yeah, that's true. It is a very strong literary opening, or not literary. Just the way he can write. It's like, look at me, I can write really well.
Waxing poetic, yes.
Yes,
And
yes.
I enjoyed that it was a. I mean, it was more so a painting a picture of the inn, and like our main character is just known as the innkeeper at that point. So it's interesting.
I'll mention it when I get to it. I add a question, but we haven't actually got there yet. All right, so chapter 1. Whoa, look at all these words.
Look at all these words.
Whoa, man.
Oh, man.
These words. I will admit I do that sometimes. Like I'll have something to say and I'll write like a long ass paragraph and say the most obscure shit, throw long words in there just because it feels nice. Okay, so chapter 1. Old Cobb is telling Graham, Jake, and Shep and Boy a tale about Tamberlin the Great. Tamberlin the Great? I don't remember.
I think yeah.
Who is like an old like myth, story, legend, like one of those everybody knows about him legends. Taberlin. Okay. While the innkeeper is tending them, we learn that the red-haired innkeeper from the thing before is named Coat, how do you pronounce that?
I also pronounce it Coat.
Kote. Coat sounds weird because it sounds like I'm saying the word coat, as in like I am wearing a coat. You couldn't
you could go with like
Cote.
Cote.
It is
like
Cote. Quote.
Or like kind of like quote, yeah, like really.
Oh, I mean, if you want to tie that in
to
his actual name,
yeah, that would be interesting.
I now just realized how close that is to his actual name.
Very much.
He just changed the pronunciation slightly.
He really did.
You're interested to see if the characters in chapter 1 come back later, or if it's just MC and Silly Bast.
Hashtag Silly Bast. I love that.
How far have you gotten into the book?
I think Fireball's read it. No? I could be wrong.
He does teach you how to pronounce quoth or kvoth, as I say.
Yeah.
I like to say
I still say kvoth.
Kvoth.
Yeah. So silly. Hashtag Silly Bast.
But he does
say that.
You're done with chapter 2?
I'm done
20.
with...
Oh,
20.
Okay.
Okay.
You got that.
I'm done with chapter 2. I mean 20.
a little different. He doesn't say how to pronounce his fake name. Anyway.
Yeah.
So we learn that the red-haired innkeeper is named Coat. Carter shows up. I'm not explaining who these people are because I don't think they're that important. They're just named.
Yeah.
And he's all bloody, and he shows them that he was attacked by some creepy spider thing with no eyes and just a mouth. Mm-hmm. And basically, I picture it as a giant engorged tick in the shape of a spider with a big mouth on the front of it. That is how I'm picturing it. But like,
it's a good comparison,
jet
I'd say.
black.
Yeah.
Because it's like smooth and stony.
Yeah, I kind of got like from my like painting of that image was more around like a combination between a spider and a scorpion, but very large.
That chapter in my mind is extremely dark, like darkly lit. So the spider thing is actually quite shadowed, like in shadow. It's harder to see, which is interesting. I hadn't thought about this before just now, but it's very it's extra dark. It's like drawn in charcoal.
Well, and I think it's just something interesting about what they did with it was that in the prologue as well as in chapter 1, at least until the creature is shown, the Skrael, it's painting, it's giving this image of like a warm and welcoming, inviting atmosphere, and then this gets thrown in and just everything goes to shit. Like everyone's on edge,
right? And
Coat gets a little worried, and at this point we don't really know why. We still don't fully know why, but
the color of the story goes from a warm auburn to blacks and grays.
I am also not mentally recovered from chapter 20, but we will get there.
Yeah, so Coat tells them that by accident that it's named a Skrael or Skrael. How do you pronounce that?
I said Skrael.
Skrael.
Yeah. Skrael sounds cool though.
Skrael.
But anyway.
It is the
Celtic.
And then we meet afterwards, and everyone gets all like, why the fuck do you know what this thing is?
Yeah.
And then we meet his apprentice afterwards, Bast, and learns that Coat has some sort of mysterious past.
Hashtag silly past.
And I wrote down that the three things that demons fear is iron, fire, and God.
I mean, it's a point.
That's what they said, at least.
Yeah.
Bast is interesting. You also wrote that down.
I also
My first impression of Bast was a frat bro.
I mean, he's kind of a combination though. Like, he's a bit of a not nerd, but like kind of like a keeps to himself. And he cares for Coat.
I'm working off the knowledge of him from chapter 1.
Yeah, that's
and
fair.
It's like, oh, okay, he's just a frat bro.
Yusuke from P5, I agree. Is similar vibes to me.
All right, so chapter 2. Anyone have anything they got to say about that? I think we covered most of it.
It's a good chapter. It's a thorough chapter.
Bast gets off.
Bast also gets the train one station early to save money.
What do you mean?
He's a good boy. I don't know, he's money conscious.
Oh, I see. Yeah. So that's a good point.
Oh, Chandrian, yes.
They did mention the Chandrian, and that the sign of the Chandrian is blue fire.
Yes. It's when they're near, I think.
It was just. I don't think
Or
it
was it just that's associated with them?
Yeah, it's associated. And they're fairly vague about who the Chandrian are. They just kind of because none of these characters knew or know, and they essentially there's some sort of villain character that everybody, it's like demons or like devils, I guess, like the devil is like the Chandrian. That was kind of the feel I got with them.
And it's interesting. I remember asking, I was telling my partner about where I was in the book, and I'd say, "Oh, I just got introduced to the concept of the Chandrian," and I was like, "It's very vague, and I don't really quite know what they are." And my partner just looked at me, and he goes, "Yep." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
I get the impression
like, it's very intentionally like that.
That I get the impression that they are more mythic than like maybe they are creatures which have, or people who use. I'm imagining, this is what I picture them as, people who tried to become wizards and got seduced by a dark power and became something more.
Yeah,
that is the sort of vibe I got from the way they were described.
Yeah, like fallen sorcerers or something. That's interesting.
Fucking motorcycle. Yeah, and so they.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Glow, because I did not write. I wrote down fairly short summaries. So yeah, the Skrae'l aren't demons, but it's fine for them to believe it. That was interesting.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder, one, what they are, and two, are there demons? Like, is it they believe they're demons because they're religious and just demons don't exist, but it's fine for them to believe that they're bad? Or is it that, well, this isn't a demon, but they might as well lump it in together with them? I don't know.
Yeah, because it might be revealed later. I don't know. It, like, maybe that'll tie into the religious system that he's mentioned of Telu. I don't think they've really gone into it yet, but
it feels like Telu's just similar to the Christian god. Of the IRL fandom. And then there's the chest, which I'm now realizing
Yes, they.
I haven't
I
mentioned
just
since
realized we
chapter
haven't.
one. I forgot
Yeah,
about it.
I mean, it's probably. I mean, that's. I mean, that's probably intentional.
Yeah,
Um,
true. Yeah,
Interesting.
it is Chekhov's
Yeah,
chest, though.
it is. He goes into intense deal. Yeah, like he really describes that chest and the really like uh tightening, compressed kind of feeling, like just not a good feeling that he has even like being around that thing.
I will say on the note about going into detail about something, having come off the back or having a background of reading uh like Tolkien and Jordan and and what's his name? The Polish name I can't pronounce, the Witcher guy.
Oh
Just
yeah.
because they describe something in detail does not mean it's important.
Fair enough.
But it had very like, okay, yeah, this is put here. Like this has some sort of significance in for the
Yeah.
future.
Oh, is it important or is it just details for detail's sake? Yeah. But has he described something in as much detail? I don't really think so. Other
He's
than later things, I guess.
he's not a. I can go into this a little bit later. He is not a detaily kind of guy. He has
Yeah.
a good way of um
The sword. Right.
he has a good way of making you visualize things, but it's not by going into significant detail about the specifics of it. It's more of
Right.
over time you start to get a picture of what it looks like based on the way it's described over time, as opposed to here's a paragraph about what this thing looks like. Really, only the chest was like that.
Right.
Hi, Saber.
Book club. Hello, Prince.
Oh,
How's
hi,
it going?
Prince. Your name was too dark in the chat. I didn't see you go by.
Yeah, I had to squint.
He's the Prince of Darkness.
No, thank you. It's true. Thanks for stopping in, Saver. I appreciate that.
Oh, that's interesting.
Ooh.
Oh, okay. No, never mind. Hi, Saber. I didn't realize you dropped into my chat, and I was wondering why your chat had become two, because I forgot how the system worked.
No, same, because I was like, oh, I'm not seeing Prince appear in my chat. That's weird. I'm like, oh, wait.
Yeah, Prince doesn't usually go to Amy's. Oh, right. Although he is in Amy's chat. To be like IRL.
And now he is.
IRL, for real.
For real?
You didn't do the reading because you're reading other books. If you want to stop in and send some love. Are you interested in doing the reading, or would you...
Oh, my alerts didn't go off. Thank you, though.
I didn't put my alerts on. Sorry.
Well, I thought I did, but it should work for raids and stuff. Anyway, thank you so much. Jeez, anonymous gifter.
What was I gonna say? Oh yes, Saber. Are you gonna stick around and hear our summaries, or would you rather keep it not spoilery?
Listening.
Yeah.
We're going kind of like over each chapter as a summary, talk about like just things that came up for us, and then probably afterwards we'll go into more of like a theme discussion maybe.
Yeah. And if you guys have if anything pops into your mind about stuff we could talk about, throw it in the Discord discussion channel with the discussion point tag.
Oh yeah.
And we can bring it up.
Yeah, I'll put my Discord thing
in. Yeah. So, chapter 2. I'm not reading the names of them because I didn't write them down. But whatever.
Yeah, that's fine.
So, Chronicler, a scribe, is robbed by army men.
That's the summary.
That's the summary.
And I so loved this chapter, even though it was so short. Partially because, like, you know, it's an introduction to Chronicler. That's cool. He seems like an interesting character. But mostly for the fact that after he was very cordially robbed. Like it was very polite. Like he kept describing it. It's a polite robbing. They left him a few things and they left. And he just goes into detail about like, oh, just gonna take this money out of my boots, out of my shirt, and also baked into a loaf of bread.
Yeah, that's some like extra.
Goddamn.
There's some almost like hyperbole that is in this book it's like it comes out of nowhere. It's like that's ridiculous. He baked money into a loaf of bread. That doesn't make any sense. It's reminiscent of the thigh-high black boots from the
I
Eye
almost
of the
called it Name of
World
the Wind. Eye of the World, yeah.
prologue.
I almost called it Name of the Wind.
So I should probably explain that. I was telling Amy something I had never noticed when I read it twice. The very first book of The Wheel of Time, in the prologues, the very first chapter, they describe the villain of that chapter, or the antagonist, I should say. And he describes the clothing he's wearing kind of in passing. And he describes him as wearing all black with white lace and thigh-high boots. And I didn't notice it. I didn't notice it both times I read that.
But the funny, and neither did I. And I listened to the audiobook, like a year ago at most?
Thigh-high boots. Could you imagine? Dude's just
they're not practical. He just wants to feel fancy.
Like fully thigh high. Not
over the knee. No, past the knee.
High.
Up to the thigh. He's great.
Can't even bend at the knee. Yeah, just full on leather with lace. Leather and lace. And then he like has like a legitimate not funny conversation. It's like
then it's really serious.
There's no way that Robert Jordan, the author, didn't intentionally put that in there just to screw with people. Just like, will they notice this?
Perhaps.
One girl in Pokemon
Scarlet Violet.
Ooh, I don't know
Pokemon.
Which girl. I'm not a weeb.
Oh, wow. All right. Well. I'm a weeb and I don't play Pokemon.
Saber, you're gonna stick around. Nice. Sounds good. You're in the middle of 3 books right now.
Ooh.
Actually, I talked to what's her name? Silveretta Rose. I'm not sure what her nickname is. But she said the exact same thing, that she's also reading 3 books right now. But
oh wow.
and is not can't pick up a 3rd or 4th.
That's fair. And then here's me, and I'm like, I haven't read a book in like a couple years. Well, aside from Wheel of Time, but that's audiobooks.
The last book I read was not a Wheel of Time book, but it may or may not have been written by Robert Jordan.
Fair enough.
I'm in a groove, you know.
Exactly.
Patrick Rothfuss, The Name of the Wind. Yeah, so chapter 3.
Yes.
Coat hangs a silver sword named Folly behind the bar on a plaque of black wood. A drunk man identifies Coat as Kvothe the Bloodless, and Coat conceals that it is actually true, but he conceals it. He goes to the smith and he buys a rod of iron, like a tool rod of iron, and some protective forgewear gloves and a apron. Does doom scrolling TikTok count as reading? No.
Yes and no.
I mean, depends on how you define reading. Like, I'm reading chat right now, but that's not reading.
It's true. I think just getting immersed in a book, that definition, I haven't done for a number of years.
Yeah. I think, other than this last one, which I wasn't super immersed in, but was the Witcher series. Got super into that. I love that setting. It's very good. So,
But yeah, that was a good chapter.
any
I mean, it gave a little
did
bit
you
more
have
to
an
Code's character.
idea of did you have any idea of what he was getting the iron and protective gear for? Because in
No.
retrospect, I should have seen it. Like, it should have been obvious to me. But
Yeah, now that you sorry, Cat, hi. Now that you mention it, it makes sense then. I didn't actually think of that now. Or then.
right,
Yeah. Hey Bo. Hey Bo. Um
what's
but I mean at the same time it's like I mean the Scrael well, I guess it was fairly recently. It was chapter 1, but I don't know.
what's RP
But I
one?
also RP1?
A book series.
Uh
Sorry, continue your thought. It's hard
I don't know.
chatting to two chats at once.
That's fair. Um yeah, no, it didn't hit me, but then again, it also didn't I didn't clue into
Hmm.
Coates and Chronicler's meeting either until it was revealed. I went, "Ah, clever." um so, yeah.
I do have something to say about that meeting, but I'll save it for that chapter, which I think is
Yeah.
that's the next chapter.
Oh, yeah.
But you were gonna say something about his character.
Oh, yes. Revealed a little bit more about his character in terms of, I mean, with when the gentleman took him as somewhat of a different name, and specifically was like, "I know your face. You did this." And Quoth kind of just or Quoth kind of responded just like, "Oh, I get that all the time. Like people always say I look like him." And then he like tries to get up, and his knee gives out on him, and I think he mentions he gives the excuse of I took an arrow to the knee, and I went, ah.
There's a few things in this book that I'm like, okay, okay, Patrick.
but like I think Name of the Wind, I think it came out before Skyrim, and I know that term is
Really?
not just from Skyrim, but yeah, I think because I think this was 2007.
Yeah, taking an arrow to the knee is supposed to mean like you got married.
Got married, yeah. Which I mean, maybe he does at some point. I
That's
don't
a
know.
very boomer phrase, isn't it?
It is.
I
Ready
hate my
Player
wife. You know, it came out in 2007,
Yeah.
and
So
Skyrim
was
came
like
out in
2011,
2012
right?
or 11.
Yeah. It preceded
So he
Skyrim.
didn't get it from Skyrim.
No, which I mean, it would have been
Skyrim got
funny.
it from this.
Skyrim, the Bethesda really likes this book.
It's what they based the entirety of the Elder Scrolls off of.
Yeah. They do mention a she and a her, yes. So that it comes up in later chapters, but it's interesting, at least in this chapter, because after Coat responds to the guy, then he goes to Bast and he just says, "Okay, listen to like you need to hear or hear this 3 times," and then he says exactly like the story of what Bast should know or should tell tell quote unquote the drunk man. And then he was like, he got it, and he said, "I hear you 3 times," and like the chapter ends because he goes to do the thing.
That the way that was said was like that's a thing.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he wasn't just saying remember this really well. Like that was he was actually
Hear this 3 times.
hear this 3 times, and he
I wonder if it ties into like a bit of the magic system, which I know we'll get into later. As well as maybe his history with Bast, because while we haven't really got into that, we do know that they are like Bastus's apprentice, quote unquote.
yeah. I don't know whether that's like a cultural thing or a thing between those two.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So, chapter 4. Chronicler, who got robbed before, is walking to Navari, I guess is how you pronounce that. Nevrari? At night,
Yeah.
after failing to find a horse. He meets Coat sitting by a bonfire, who at the moment that they mentioned that there was someone sitting by the bonfire, I was like, oh, it's okay, it's going to be Coat. And it was.
And I did not.
When did you, I'm assuming you noticed when he started to
Yeah, when
describing
they
the clothes.
I got a feeling, but then it was the aha moment when the Scrael attacks Chronicler, and then there's a line break, and then it's, Coat looked at the man who was attacked by the Scrael, and I went, oh.
There was a solid 3 or 4 days between me reading chapter 3 and chapter 4, so I had mostly forgotten what happened. But I was like, oh, okay. I finish my summary. Coat tells him that there are demons around, and then Chronicler is injured by one of the Scrael, after which Coat buries the bodies and kills the 5 Scrael. And what struck me about that was just how terrifying the Scrael are. And not because they're particularly scary, but he described 5 of them as being he should be dead, and he's supposed to be really good at hunting them or something.
Yeah. And he didn't tell Bast he was going out because
he expected to die.
Yeah, I was like, oh my god. Glow says, Fireball, Skyrim was only released 3 times by 2007. Fair. And Glow says, I think it does lead into that they're both running from their past lives, maybe, and are covering for each other, which is just a way of life for now. And it's interesting that Coat refers to them as demons in the chapter, despite revealing before they aren't demons. Oh, I didn't notice that. That is interesting.
I did notice that, and I'm 100% sure that's because, for the same reason he let them believe it was demons before, because it's easier than explaining what they are.
Yeah, he refers to them as demons to Chronicler, right?
Right, and if you tell someone, if you know these are dangerous and they are harmed by fire or iron, and everybody knows that demons are harmed by fire or iron, it's easier to just say they're demons, and everybody's on the same page, even if they're not 100% sure.
Yeah.
I apparently had too much water before this, so I'm gonna go to the bathroom.
Oh, good. I'll chat. Well, yeah. We'll just look at your chair in space. I like that take. Yeah, it's interesting, and I quite like that chapter overall. For that connection of them meeting, and it felt like, I think it was the same chapter, but I'm pretty sure. Coat taking Coat taking Chronicler back to the inn, and then Chronicler immediately being like, oh, I know who you are. But then Coat knowing who Chronicler was by his first and last name. That was interesting. Because, in a way, it also now seems like Chronicler is putting something of his past behind it. Because he doesn't really care about his first and last name. He's like, no, I'm the Chronicler. And that's what people know him by, too. But if you said, I'm a Chronicler, or I'm Chronicler, people would be like, who? And then he says first name, last name, and you're like, oh, the Chronicler. That was very interesting. It's a good time for me to cut out. Looking forward to the VOD. Fair, mandatory corporate fun time. Yay! Woo, thank you both for the effort on this. Having a blast. Have a good night. Hope it's okay, Fireball. Fireball had to leave for mandatory corporate fun time.
Good luck. Have fun.
I was just saying that I think it was in this chapter, but I liked that following that battle with the Scrael, I thought it was very interesting when they meet in the inn and Chronicler recognizes Coat, and Coat recognizes Chronicler, but only when he says his first and last name, and he's like, oh, he's famous. He's known as the Chronicler, now that I know his first and last name. But Chronicler is also doesn't really seem to give a crap about that. He just wants to be known as Chronicler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of, chapter 5. Coat carries Chronicler back to the inn, where Bast is angrily waiting for him because he left him a note that said, I'll be dead by the time you read this.
Yeah.
Which is rough, man. What the fuck?
Oh, yeah.
What the They bicker, and Bast tends Coat's many wounds before singing a song while he sleeps.
Chapter 5, Married Life Between Fast and Coat. It's true.
Yeah, that is true. Chapter 6, Chronicler wakes up and he admits that he was looking for Coat, whom he knows as Kvothe. He tells Coat that Kvothe's story is being corrupted with time, and he would like to get the true story. Coat breaks a bottle in anger through some sort of magic, and then finally agrees to tell his story over the course of 3 days with no, like, you will tell this story. I will tell the story in exactly 3 days, no more, no less. Okay, buddy.
Okay.
And apparently he killed an angel.
Killed an angel.
That's what he said.
Yeah, he did. Because that was one of the grand stories of like, oh, Kvothe King Killer, and also the one who killed an angel or something. He had a bunch of names. Yeah, what were they? That was chapter 6.
Yeah. That's chapter 7.
Okay. There we go, 6. Kvothe the Arcane and Kvothe King Killer are two very different men. Yeah. Kvothe the Bloodless, yes. That was the other one. So I imagine Kvothe King Killer is probably closer to Kvothe the Bloodless, if he's saying they're two different men.
Right.
Like, in terms of, like, his own experiences.
Yeah, in terms of temperament and... Yeah. Yeah, I can't be bothered to find that passage, but...
Yeah, that's okay.
He does mention briefly in passing that he killed a fucking angel, so...
Yeah. And this was also... So I believe this was the, like... Because your summary ended with him saying, I will tell the story in 3 days. This was the same chapter that also gave... It was very good at describing his body language when certain things were mentioned. Like, he would get very rigid, or he would feel very hollow, or look like just the life had left him if he's thinking, or like he was lost in the past. It had a good focus on that, and I like the writing style of it.
Rothfuss describes people's personalities well, or like what you're saying, like when someone does something, they do it in a very certain way, and it's very visible. Like he does a really good job of making you visualize it. You can really tell emotion from, I guess, from his description. I haven't really analyzed that part of it. But you love the transition at the end of the chapter. That's the man who called himself Coat into
Yes.
said.
Yeah. And I also like, actually, before I go into that, I want to make sure that's the right chapter. Is chapter 7 when he starts telling the story?
Yeah.
Okay. So I really enjoyed the writing choice at the end of chapter 6, where I can't remember the exact wording, but he was saying, like, well, if I had to tell a story, I guess I should start here. But if I'm saying this, then I guess I should go back and talk about this. But then if I'm talking about that, then I really must start here. And then the beginning of the next chapter is that word for word one of those paragraphs as the starting point. It was really neat.
Was that? I'm not sure I noticed that.
Yeah. If that is the, let's see, where's chapter 7? That's chapter 8. Where are you? No, 7 is...
Sorry, there's going to be a lot of book flipping in this stream.
I think that's it. Is it in chapter 7? Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because chapter 8... Yeah, it's going to be a lot of book flipping because we're trying to... Yes, sorry. That is in chapter 7. That's my bad. So, chapter 8 begins with one of the paragraphs, which is, if this story is to be something resembling my book of deeds, we must begin at the beginning, at the heart of who I truly am. To do this, you must remember that before I was anything else, I was one of the Adema Ru.
I pronounced that
And
Ru,
that's
but
Ru is the proper way. I originally
Is
read
it?
it as like Ru. Well, because I think it's supposed to be close to the Rus, which is uh the Russian not Vikings, but Russian Northmen. It's in a
no, I know.
10th
I know what you
century
mean.
chronicle from
RUS.
Ibn Fadlan. Yeah. I found the names in chapter 7. Oh, yes, the names.
Elir, Dulator, Shadakar, Lightfinger, Six String. Oh, I understand that one now.
Oh, yeah.
And all the Kvoths.
And we know Alir, but, well, we kind of know Alir. We don't quite know what he meant, but... Anyway, yes.
So, chapter 7. Chronicler and Kvoth begin cataloging Kvoth's story. Kvoth learns... it's funny to say. I say it fine in my head.
Voth.
He learns Chronicler's shorthand cipher, like, extremely quickly. And
Yes.
then the voice switches over to third person, or to first person, from third person, which was a little jarring. Yeah.
Yeah, that the cipher was an interesting piece there.
I didn't take that as anything remarkable other than just main character syndrome.
Fair enough. He's
But-
smart.
But I guess it is a little more important.
I mean, I think it goes into a little bit more, but it's like a taste of that idea that he can pick up things very quickly,
Right.
just
yeah.
naturally.
Exactly. And he's good at memorizing, which I'm
Yes.
not. I'm very bad at memorizing. Chapter 8. Kvoth tells of his happy and educational childhood with the Adema Ru, a troupe of traveling performers. He meets Abenthi, Ben,
Abinthy. Well, I call him Abinthy.
an arcanist down his luck. Kvoth sees Ben control the wind through magic, and he invites him to join their troupe. And I actually wrote down a quote from this one because it like made me stop and like, whoa. I learned to love the feel of good words, because that is the most succinctly and well put way of saying what I say a lot, with the whole, like, for me, words are less about inherent meaning and grammar than they are about the way they sound musically, almost. And you'll notice this when I speak. I'll actually accent certain words and pause in certain places and use certain words that will make the sentence flow in a certain way and have a certain rhythm to it. And that is an important thing to me that my speech and writing both rely heavily on, which makes me use way too many commas and dashes in writing. But the way he described that so succinctly, it just stuck out to me a lot. The ailments pun. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was good. I think you spelled ailments wrong. It's a pun. Like, oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah, he makes ale.
And we actually, I meant to bring this up before, but you bring it up now it's brought up again in this chapter. The idea of the mystical power, or like as in the mystical strength or just like presence of knowing the name of the wind or speaking the name of the wind, that was brought up very early in the book the first time as like, you know, that's a spell that like that's something that really powerful like magic users would know. And then they're bringing up again here.
What's his name?
It was in the tavern at first. Old Cobb, I think, said it.
Taberlin the Great knew the name of the wind.
Taberlin, right. Wonder if he'll get brought up more.
He has been brought up a couple times.
That's fair. As like a known figure.
Well,
known
he's
sorcerer.
like, it sounds like he's like someone who lived 1,000 years ago. Like, we're not gonna meet him.
Right, yeah.
Or if we are, it's like he ascended or something.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, we'll though. I wonder if, I mean, maybe if they get into anything further, like as we read on, like I don't like I imagine it'll take us to the university at some point. I wonder if he'll be brought up there more. I don't know.
I wonder if he'll pull an owl house with the main villain. Which,
I mean,
if
I
you
don't
don't
have
know
the
what
context.
if you don't
Yeah.
know what that means, then sorry. If you have watched this show, you probably do know what I mean.
Fair spoilers, I imagine.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, definitely watch that show
Fair.
though. It's very good. It's only
Yeah.
3 seasons too, so
True.
you don't know. The
Abinthy
context,
is a
you
pretty
think
great
you know.
character too.
Abinthy's is great. Yeah, he's.
He's very nice.
I find him hard to picture, a little bit.
Yeah.
Not because I can't picture, like he kind of reminds me of almost like an old bard type,
Yes.
or like a little bit wizardly, a little bit kind of cheeky.
Yeah.
But every time they describe how like abrasive he is, or
Yeah.
he, not they, every time he describes how abrasive he is towards like certain people and definitely his donkeys, it's like that just does
Yes.
not vibe with the rest of his character the way he's described.
Yeah, his actions are very young. Like his choice of actions. Like I think when they were describing him, I didn't quite remember the description, so I just, as I was like, I might have skimmed or something, but I just kind of took it as, oh, he's a kind of a young guy, maybe, I don't know, maybe in 30s or maybe 40s, I don't know. And then when I realized, when they had brought up the description again, I went, oh no, he's an older gentleman. He just acts very young.
Yeah, it wasn't until he was actually described as having gray hair and being hobbled or whatever
Yeah.
that I was like, oh, okay, he's old.
They call me old man.
I agree that I had the same impression.
Just interesting.
So old.
Yeah, I love the young people.
Hello, fellow teens or kids or whatever.
Fellow kids, yeah.
All right, so chapter 9. Ben tells Kvothe about the university and begins to teach him the begins to teach him these sciences while subtly teaching him control over his mind. Kvothe starts to call Abinthy Ben, and Ben starts to call Kvothe Red, and Rothfuss continues to be unable to write a single chapter without mentioning sex. That's what I wrote down.
I mean, it's mentioned a lot, but I wouldn't say
wonder-
every chapter.
I kind of want to like run a quick word search on this. How many times he uses the word whore?
Oh, okay, fair.
I
Like a common whore. And I'm like, oh.
I have this in my notes to talk about later, but just relating that the frequent mentioning of sexuality in fantasy books is very weird and very ubiquitous to a certain degree. But we can talk about that. It's in my notes. So, but that's kind of what spurred me to write that down.
Interesting.
Any notes? That one's pretty straightforward. That was where we learned
so.
that he was actually pretty good at learning things. I believe.
Oh yeah, Glyph says I 100% agree. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's weird. You know who the biggest offender is, though?
Robert Jordan.
No, no, no. Although that book's
He
pretty.
does.
Pretty
He does have
spicy.
that one weird spicy book. He said, yeah.
Um, the most the biggest offender of that.
I mean, I would say Witcher, right? Or we live.
The Witcher.
Yeah, The Witcher. That's literally what I said. I was like, probably The Witcher. Yeah.
I don't know if it's this. If I don't remember if it was in this first book as well, but once the story starts up and towards the end, I actually was making sure and checking this every single chapter. Someone talks about or does a sex. Like, it's ridiculous.
The author is just like, oh, I have to end this chapter, but no, they have to do the thing. They have to do the
Oh
hanky
man, I
panky.
forgot to put. I forgot. Oh shit. Gotta go back and
Forgot the oral sex again.
Oh man. Now I gotta make Geralt go down on whoever the Emperor.
I haven't read. I haven't read the books, but I think Arius says the same thing.
It's because
it's for adults.
YA. It doesn't get put in with the YA.
the
young adult.
Young adult, yeah.
Oh yeah, there you go. You have to force it to be rated R so it doesn't get put in the G section.
This is probably a weird question. Please tell me that YA is a thing in the US and it's not a Canadian thing.
What, young adult?
Just because yes, the term.
I mean, I've never seen
books.
it written as YA, but I clocked that was
Really?
young adult pretty quick.
Okay, because I mean, in every bookstore and libraries, like that's a categorization YA. So I don't know if that's a
I think
Canadian
they just say
thing.
young adult.
Yeah, fair.
You-
Yeah, right. Glow. That's it.
Wait, you mean like in the Dewey Decimal System? It's the YA.
Yeah, so like, well, I mean, there's the Dewey Decimal System, but like at the library, you'll see like there'll be stickers that'll indicate YA because it'll be for young adults.
It usually just says young adult.
Interesting. Anyway.
I mean, I'm sure I've seen it somewhere and just not realized.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've been in a library, to be honest.
It's been a while.
Been a while.
It's been a while.
Where were we?
Chapter
10.
10.
See, you see how fast this goes. I mean,
Yes.
it's
I mean,
been
it's only been
an
been an
hour,
but like
to be
still.
fair, but we're also talking about every single chapter and we're halfway through.
Yeah.
So,
We got lots of time.
Chapter 10. Ben teaches Kvoth techniques for being able to believe and perceive multiple things at once by dropping a stone and believing at the same time that it will float.
Yes.
Which there's a 100% chance that every single person who's ever read that chapter has tried to do that whilst reading it.
Mm-hmm.
Where you I didn't quite
I was tempted.
I didn't quite get it. Because to me it seemed obvious. Like he made it seem so impossible to do, and I'm fairly capable of just perceiving two realities at once if I feel like it. And I don't know, maybe I'm weird.
I mean, it took me a little bit to wrap my head around. To wrap my head around that alongside the idea of sympathy for the magic
The
system.
sympathy, I get that. But I'm also weird.
And that's fair. But like, it's an interesting. I think I was just trying to grasp, like, okay, how does this tie in? Like, sympathy was introduced. Okay, how does this tie in with Alar, which was the belief system? And I found it really interesting. But I wonder if because I mean, I could envision it as like if I was trying it, I'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, no, I think I can.
But it's
Yeah,
not.
like
It's
that's
not
an interesting
picturing.
thing to do.
It's not just picturing something being. It's
It's
expecting
doing.
it to happen.
Yeah.
Actually believing it will.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I do think that is difficult because that is fighting with a system that you know versus what you're learning now, which may or may not happen in your eyes. Plus, he's also 12.
Now, I will say, whilst it is easy for me to convince myself of two things at once, or two opposing facts at once, I will never 100% believe that that'll happen, because it won't, and it doesn't, like, it's not productive for me to believe that something that's impossible is possible. Right? So for someone to come up to me and say, "Oh, well, what? Well, just start believing in things that are false," is is a little sus.
That's an interesting angle. Yeah. I did like how this system did seem very different from other magic systems
It is
for other
fairly
books that I've
unique.
read. Yeah.
It's more of an alchemy system than a
Yes.
magic system.
Yeah.
Although it's more than just alchemy in its physical form. It's like more alchemy of the mind
Yeah.
and the
That taps
spirit.
into emotion and, well,
Well, I
sympathy.
don't know. I
So.
don't know about emotion. Maybe it does. I don't know.
Well, at least one of the spells did. That was the Stoneheart one.
I just
Oh, fair.
went over me.
It was one of the ones that he, and it was basically to be emotionless.
Oh, that's not a
To-
spell.
to-
That's like that trance that Rand goes into in Wheel of Time.
Oh, like when he's channeling.
Yeah, it's Sorry, spoilers for book one and also the TV series. um, it's a meditation technique. I'm assuming that is what they're talking about, because that's how it was described, or it's how it seemed to be described to me.
I think so.
It's like clearing your mind.
Yeah, but my point more so was that the magic system is tied to emotion as a result. Like and that relates to the mind.
Yeah.
So I think it's just I think it's very like I read that, and it's interesting because I feel like I don't see well, it's hard to see the limits of any magic system, or like the restrictive nature, because really it's magic. But it's interesting that it, like, I don't really know. It's unexpected as to what could happen with it to me.
I'm sure I've complained a lot in various forums related to these chats about my disdain for magic systems that aren't explained well. And this is one of the few that I have a good idea of what is and is not allowed. Now, he may come out and throw something at me and it's like, okay, what the fuck? But the way it's been described, I can picture what is possible, even if it might be particularly difficult to achieve. But like, so often you get like, I've made up this magic system and I need it to do this. It can do this. It's like, okay.
Yeah, there's no explanation. Yeah.
It's like the entire Harry Potter magic system is just,
Don't ask questions, it just do.
do not ask questions. That is the mantra of that series. Don't ask questions, because you don't want to know the answers. I maybe a little spicy, but I saw something that says J.K. Rowling doesn't want to do another live adaptation of the movies because she knows that if they did, they'd have to cast Hermione as black, and they'd have to have a black actress come out in favor of slavery.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh boy!
Like, okay,
Oh,
yep,
boy!
that would be rough.
Oh goodness! Oh boy!
Not that she should have her hands anywhere near that series anymore, but
No.
anyway, where are we? Chapter 11.
11. Yeah.
Kvothe learns the theory of sympathy, which we've been talking about and not explaining. That all things are connected, but with different levels of connectiveness, strength, I put, but that's not quite it. Like, some things are more connected than others, and things that are more connected, you can have a stronger connection. So, like, the example he gave, or the thing he did, was basically he can bind two objects together. Another sex reference.
Oh, the linking.
Oh, he binds two things together, and and depending on how similar how similar the ties between those objects are, he can. They become like he lifts one and the other lifts, but the more similar they are, the easier it is.
Yeah,
because there's less energy lost.
The song in chapter 11. Is that the one that his mom overhears him sing?
Yeah.
And she's like, that's rude.
That. So he used the knowledge to move similar objects at the same time. Kvothe repeats a rude rhyme, and his mother admonishes him. And
yes.
Which, is it. I can go into his rhyming later. So that we've already talked a lot about sympathy, and that was kind of we kind of combined 10 and 11 in that. But it kind of came out of the blue. Like it's like, okay, so here's a theory: all things are connected. Here, move this magic rock. Like, what?
That's fair. Yeah.
It's just like, oh, okay, yeah. So I made the rock float in the air, and then I went and sat by the fire. It's like, you didn't have a stronger reaction to this.
Yeah, that's interesting. I thought that was I mean, this edition or like introduction was just an interesting thing to me. And I remember like when he was describing like the ones that have stronger links are like, or the strongest link that he found was when he broke a branch from a tree and then like connected them both again. Which
is the same
to me,
object,
I was like,
really.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, okay, it's the same makeup. That makes sense. So that was interesting.
I will say, more so than it's the same makeup, it's also the same. There's an element of spirit in there, like
yes,
they have the same soul, kind of. I mean, he hasn't explicitly said that, but you get that kind of feeling that like two things that are linked in soul are linked in actuality.
Yeah, that was an interesting thing, and like talking about there's always some level of interconnectedness, like between two things, or that he tries anyway. It's just the strength of the connection which differs.
It's interesting how similar this is to the theory of gravity and magnetism. Like if you just take the theory of gravity and you multiply it by a really big number, this is what you get essentially. Is well, not exactly, but like whatever. People understand gravity. It's interesting. He's clearly drawing from scientific sources as well as magic sources.
Yeah, which I mean goes back to the alchemy thing too a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
And him teaching the sciences at the same time as teaching magic.
Yeah.
Like geography and how to do like moving a rock with your mind. They go together, right?
He's multi-talented, it's fine.
Yeah. Okay. Chapter 12.
12? Yes.
Yeah. So, Kvothe eavesdrops on Ben and his parents while they talk about the origins and nature of the Chandrian, which apparently translates to there's 7 of them. Yeah,
I do
okay.
remember that. Yeah.
They discuss his aptitude for memorization and learning and the possibility of sending him to the university. And I wrote down a quote which I liked for similar reasons as the previous one. The
Hmm.
distant music that a conversation makes when it's too dim for words.
Mm.
It just has a very evocative um it's just I can feel that. I can actually feel that. Like it
Yeah.
reminds me
Hmm.
of like being a child in the back of the car and my parents speaking in the front, and you kind of get that kind of deep, like you can't really hear what's
Hmm.
going on. So it's kind of like this.
Hmm.
But you that rumbly kind of far off muted. I don't know. It stood out to me.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that I mean that goes back to um similar like what we were talking about before in that he's very good at describing emotion and just like experiences in a way. In a way that it paints a really good picture.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I'm
yeah.
not. That's one of my weaker things is describing emotion
Like a
because
feeling,
I
yeah.
don't have a lot of it in the first place. So it's
Mm,
hard for me to project it onto
mm,
characters.
mm.
I'm much better at describing foods.
All right. That works.
um, anything to say?
Um, I guess it was interesting talking about the like or bringing the Chandrian back a little bit. I didn't have a lot to say about the chapter, but I mean it was interesting to hear about I think this was the chapter that um that Rothus mentions the father's song that he's working on about the Chandrian.
Right, and he
Um
won't tell anyone about it.
yeah, but he talks to Ben because Ben, I don't know, they just have a chat about it and they're like, "Oh, you could tell me more." It's like, not really. Other than that there's seven. Um Glow says, I will say really quickly at the end of this chapter, they do joke about Kvas's mom having an affair or
So
whatever, that his dad isn't his dad. And they land on the, oh, he didn't have red hair. It couldn't be him. But I'm pretty sure they describe both his parents having dark hair. Could be wrong, though. I think both of his parents have dark hair,
I'm
yeah.
going back to the trying to find the description.
Yeah, the parents.
Yeah,
I think so.
they both were beautiful with dark hair and easy laughter. I mean,
Well, dark hair, yeah. But that seems different than what it would be of like, like very striking red hair.
so it comes off to me as though they have a fairly open relationship. Like that is how
Mm,
their relationship came off to me. Like a healthy open relationship. Like
yeah,
they're not restrictive, but they are like they're not exclusive, but they're the favorites.
yeah,
Like, you get what I mean. Like they love
yeah,
each other very much, but it's okay if they go outside their circle.
yeah.
I don't
Which is
they
very
never
interesting.
explicitly said that, but that is what I got from their relationship.
Yeah, yeah. I remember reading over that part too that Glow was mentioning because it confused me a little bit at
Me
first because I
too.
was like, oh wait, are they saying this then? I was like, oh, but like
The way
obviously
it's
they're
phrased is very odd.
yeah. So it was interesting to read, but like it's interesting that you bring that feeling up because now that I think of it in that light, I'm like, oh yeah,
You know what?
that does ring a little bit true.
The way she described that situation and
Mm,
the way they reacted to it, or that his father reacted to it, I think she was telling the truth, and they both knew it, and it's just a thing they know,
mm-hmm.
and that's not his father, but it's like who cares? Like they
Yeah,
they know who
they
the
raised
father
him.
was, but they
Yeah.
raised him. That's kind
Yeah,
of
that could be
possible.
something. Yeah.
Because the way I don't remember exactly, but the way the his dad responded to it, like she was very explicit about it. Wait, no, she said he
Did
didn't
you?
have red hair. Well, now I'm confused.
Yeah, I need to read the thing again. Yeah, because
Maybe it's a
I know there's a
plot
part where
hole.
he blushed. I know there's a part where he blushed, but that might have been when she was making like an innuendo because she does that.
She does do that.
She's pretty great. I like her.
You also vaguely have a recollection, but can't find the exact quote. Someone mentioned that there's rumors of a new Chanfrena. I don't know what that means.
Chandrian.
Oh, Chandrian. The hair, the
With hair the
color of
color of
blood
blood
he
he's.
spills, or whatever. That doesn't ring a bell.
Oh, that also does not ring a bell. That's interesting.
Didn't Glow read further than us? You spoiling?
Possibly.
You spoiling? Oh, you're on your
Yeah, that's
phone. That
interesting.
makes sense.
Mm.
No, you didn't. Oh, you actually stopped yourself. Wow. I'm impressed.
That's true. Glow did say that they might, but they didn't. I didn't, I swear. It
Um,
might just be I might just be misremembering.
I'm wondering if that's a plot hole or meant to be intentionally confusing slash vague.
Yeah. What page was that on, by the way? I wanted to read.
Um,
Mm.
I
That
don't
was
know. It's
chapter
in
11?
chapter 13.
13. Sorry. Gotcha.
No, 12.
12. Okay. Oh, yeah, yeah. Come to think of it, there was a night about a dozen years ago. A man came to me, bound me with kisses and chords of chorded song. He robbed me of my virtue and stole me away. She paused. But he didn't have red hair. Couldn't be him. She smiled wickedly at
So
my father, and
she's
he was embarrassed, and she kissed him.
I think she is describing him.
And yeah, in that. Yeah.
But then she says he didn't have red hair. It couldn't have been him.
Yeah.
So maybe because they both have dark hair, they know that I don't think he's the father.
Yeah, probably not. It would seem kind of strange if so. Considering that they both don't have those traits, those features.
Yeah, I mean it's possible. To I think Pundit squared is possible, but I'm not sure.
Mm. Yeah, I wanna reread. I'll have to read.
Is that what they're
That
called?
does interest me.
Pundit squares?
Pundits? I'm not sure.
Pundit?
Mm.
What are they called? Yeah, it is. Black hair. There's no way he didn't do his research on this.
Yeah.
Punnet, not pundit. Um, brown hair, dark hair plus dark hair can produce blonde or red. However,
Oh,
most likely is
it
dark.
is not. Okay. Hmm. Interesting.
And that all depends on the grandparents.
Right. That makes sense. Hmm.
Um, all right, our genetics conversation over. The chapter 13. The
Hmm.
story pauses, and Kvothe introduces uh, Bast to Chronicler, which goes well. Um, and Chronicler recognizes Bast as uh, a demon, I
Right.
guess, and uh,
Mm.
some kind of a demon of some kind, and tries to harm him with iron, bind him to
Mm-hmm.
iron. Bast suddenly grows hooves and gets like really bright blue eyes and tries to attack Chronicler, but Kvothe pulls him apart and
Mm-hmm.
bruises Bast's arm.
Yeah, 'cause it's so fucking strong.
But then he reintroduces Bast, but he in passing calls him one of the folk. which
Yeah,
made me think he must be a fae of some kind.
yeah, the fairy folk, yeah, fae. That's what I kind of took it, and it was interesting because for up until that line, I was trying very hard to like visualize, like, yes, visually, you've told me, like, he has hooves and his eyes change color. I'm like, oh, interesting. Okay, I have an idea of what he looks like, but what is he? So, and also he goes into like,
Oh, yeah, Glamour Be
he's a
Gone.
prince of Twilight, I think.
Yeah, yeah, he had quite a title.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, damn, boy, all right, you royalty. But yeah, when he mentioned of the folk, I was like, oh, he's of the Fae, maybe. But they just haven't really
Bastus,
talked about
son
them.
of Reman, prince of Twilight
Reman.
and the 12th Mile.
Yes, Glamour Be Gone, yes. Yeah, oh, yeah, and that also
I don't remember
tracks.
where that was, and I don't remember what happened after he said that, if anything, or if he was just joking.
I think he was just joking, because he gets out, like, Chronicler puts the iron away before he can actually do any damage.
No, I don't think that's in the same interaction. I think that's between
No? Oh,
Coat
between
and
Coat and...
Bast earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it might have been in like the first chapter even.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
When they're kind of fake bickering. Early one is page
Earlier
15.
one is page 15. Ah, now I went to 15. There we go.
Okay. Begone,
Begone,
demon,
demon.
he says.
Tehus, and it says it in a language, yeah. Glamour be banished. Yeah.
And then he says,
That was actually a very cute
says something in
interaction.
a language, and Bass is like, oh, come now. That's just insulting.
Yeah.
Glamour be
love it.
banished. With cider?
Yeah, because he flecked cider at him.
So that was, they were just joking around, but it turns out
Yeah.
they were joking of something that was true.
Some truth to it. Yeah. Which is interesting, because I didn't really catch on to that, actually. Like, when I
what were you
first read it, I was
saying
like,
about
oh, Glamour
picking?
be gone.
What were you saying about picturing him?
Oh, that I was when he described how, or when he described Bast's like slight transformation, I was like, oh, okay, I understand what he looks like, but what is he? Because he's not a centaur, because he would have a half
I
horse
assumed
body.
he was I immediately assumed he was a
satyr.
satyr.
Yeah, and I just didn't know if that was a being in this fantasy world, so I didn't really immediately think of it. But when they said of the folk, I was like, oh, fae.
I mean,
That probably tracks.
satyrs aren't fae, though, are they? I don't actually know.
I think they live in the Fey Woods, no?
Yeah, but I don't think they are considered one of the fair folk.
Oh, fair. Well, not fair. Haha.
Maybe. Unfair folk.
Unfair. But yeah, that was just interesting. I don't really know how much we'll get about Bast in this book, because he's not necessarily a focus, but
Enough that he's given enough information about him that we're going to learn more.
yeah.
My guess is he'll come in towards the end of his story,
Yeah.
and we'll learn about like how they came to meet and apprenticing
Yes.
and all that. Anything else to say about this? Alrighty. So chapter 14. Back to the story. Kvothe accidentally nearly kills himself by binding his
this
lungs
one.
to just the air as a concept. Ben yells at him and like after saving him, and explains how dangerous the sympathy can be. He begins to teach fewer lessons, and Rothfuss continues to write lyrics that have no rhythm whatsoever. The troop stops at a waystone, And this is what I was going to ask you before. Did you clock that when he called it a Waystone, that was the name of the inn?
Yes, I did. Yeah. I thought it was neat. I was like, nice. um yeah, the
I can't read those poems or those lyrics. They don't have any sort of conceivable
a
rhythm
rhythm.
to them. I can't put them to music in my mind.
I read them naturally as poems.
I like
But
even as a poem I can't because it's like mostly has a rhythm, but then he just doesn't follow any of the rules of his own rhythmic scheme.
mm,
It's so weird. Without fail, every single one of those has stumped me.
fair enough.
I don't know why.
Which is interesting because I mean it's brought up so often. There's so many of them.
Yeah, he can't help himself. There's so many of them. It's like every 5 pages there's a song. I call that Tolkien fever.
Yeah, this being the first time that Coat felt fear and honestly, well, it wasn't the first time he thought he was gonna die, but he definitely prayed and he was like clutching at his throat and everything when he could not breathe. Um, but this was a huge turning point for their relationship too.
It was chapter 20
Which
that he said was the first time he truly saw fear.
yes,
Or no, it wasn't
which
20.
I was uh
Was it?
well, it was later.
It
It
was
was like
19, right? No,
19,
18.
yeah.
I was thinking 20 was the bad chapter,
Mm.
but it's not. It was chapter...
No, 19, I think, is the
Eight.
bad one.
No,
18 or 19.
19's the woods.
Oh, and then 20
It
is
was 17,
the
actually.
the village.
17 was
Wow.
the bad chapter.
That doesn't. Oh, interesting.
Um,
But yeah, I was like, oh, it was just interesting, I guess, for like to be that turning point for them. Because after that, it's pretty. I mean, Ben seems to be pretty arm's length.
so when he did the wind binding thing,
Hmm.
the way he described the what the problem was with it was different than I
Hmm.
thought was what was actually happening. Like so
Mm.
the reason he said that it was bad is because he tried to bind his lungs to the wind and then blow to make wind,
Yes.
or to the air to make wind.
Yeah.
But his he says that his lungs were too weak to move like all of that air because
All of that air.
all
Yeah.
of the air. But what I thought was happening, because he described it being extremely still, I thought he had basically bound the air in his lungs to a windless air that couldn't move because it wasn't moving.
Oh, interesting.
And I think the way Ben fixed it was by calling the wind and making it move again, right?
Yes.
And then he unbound it, or maybe he
I
just
think
unbound
so,
it.
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, he might have dispelled it, maybe.
But
Yeah.
I mean, both reasons make sense to me. But I thought it was the other one.
Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah, I hadn't thought of it of just like binding his breath to a still air, to still air. That'd
Because
be
it like
interesting.
it was moving and then it stopped and he was like, "Uh oh."
Yeah. Yeah. Oh God. Oh no. Interesting.
Yeah, it was an interesting chapter.
Mm.
The Waystone thing kind
Mm-hmm.
of kicked off one of my conversation topics that I have.
Mm.
But we could talk about that later.
Mm.
It has to do with naming.
Mm.
Okay, so chapter 15. Ben leaves the caravan to great fanfare, and Kvoth's father shares a snippet of his secret unfinished song about the Chandrian. Ben leaves Kvoth his copy of Rhetoric and Logic, and suggests that Kvoth should go to the university.
Mm-hmm.
He... Oh, Rothfuss... this is a note by me. Rothfuss did a really good job of tricking me into thinking something terrible was about to happen, is what I said.
Mm-hmm. No, that's fair. Well, because he phrases it to say, this would be like who knew that this would be one of the last times I'd see Ben, and I was like, wait, what? Like, oh no.
No, it wasn't.
But
It wasn't chapter 17. It was 16.
Oh, when that all happens? Yeah. Oh, the ending of it.
So what's funny here is that is what I wrote after reading this chapter. I said, "Wow, he did a really good job in tricking me that something bad was about to happen." Chapter 16
happens. Time to get sad.
I mean, yeah, we can go back to 15 though. Like, we'll get into that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I didn't really have too much to say about that. I feel like I was just like, oh, okay, well, he found a nice lady and became a brewer.
I mean, yeah, and he got a hell of a send off.
Oh yeah, big party. Oh yeah.
Oh no, I meant the troop prostitute or whatever.
Oh right, yes, in the tent. Yeah, I was like, oh,
I have
boy.
a special dance for you.
And he's just like, no, and he's like looking around. He's like, boy.
Man, I need to find myself a troop.
Troop prostitute.
Well, yeah. Yikes. Okay. Chapter 16. This is a long one.
Yes.
And then there's tragedy. Kvothe goes out for firewood, but when he comes back, everyone's dead and everything's burning with blue fire. He sees the culprit sitting at the fire and they see him. They taunt him and consider killing him. One of them, Cinder, steps out of line and his lord, Heliax, basically tortures and reprimands him. Then suddenly the air grows thick and they are scared away, leaving Kvothe to accidentally burn down his parents' wagon after trying to sleep in it because... Good job, bud.
Good job.
He rescues the loot and pretty much nothing else. His father's loot, not LOOT. He didn't loot the he looted the thing by getting the loot.
Yeah.
So I have my note about from the moment I met his parents, this is exactly what I expected. Like almost. I mean, not like the whole bit with the guys who are obviously the Chandrian, but the or at least some form of them. But just like his troop are going to randomly all die, and the whole caravan's gonna be set on fire. I like in my brain the entire time that we've known them, I've just like been expecting exactly that to happen, and then it happens. So.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why.
I mean, I had a feeling that something would happen. I just didn't know when. I was like, could this be when he was older? Could it be soon? I wasn't quite sure.
Page 48.
Glow found me entering chat. Everyone is dead. Hi, Guru. How's it going? We're going chapter by chapter. Yeah, 48.
Oh no, that was a. So what that was that was him saying how the story was.
The rhyme
being corrupted.
goes right.
No, that was Chronicler telling Coat that his story was being corrupted.
Oh, I see.
So that wasn't this is the way it is. That was this is
he was
a
talking
way people
about,
are telling it.
He was talking about Coat, right?
Yeah, he's saying, or Kvothe.
Kvothe, yeah.
He was saying, like, basically, some even say he was evil.
Yeah. And then he was saying, and then Coat responds, the important people know the difference.
Right.
Well, yeah, fair enough. Interesting.
Good memory, though. I didn't remember that.
Yeah. And I think there's a chapter that's called, I mean, maybe it is that chapter, but it's the color is red as the blood he spilled. I'm pretty sure.
I have a question for you.
Mm. Mm.
What caused this? What exact thing do you think caused this attack on their caravan?
Honestly, I was pretty flabbergasted by the whole thing. I was like, because it was so quick. Like it was like he went out to get firewood or dry wood or whatever for a little bit, and came back, and everything was just on fire. People were dead. I went, and the Chandrian group was there, and so
Oh, hey, Guru.
it's hard because I don't know. We know vaguely about the Chandrian, and we know they're the intact, and that's interesting. I just don't really know anything about their motives, where they come from, like, and I mean, no one really does in the story. Like, that's intentional because they're just relying on myths that people have heard or stories that children sing. Or no, there's no story. There's no songs about the Chandrian. That I remember them mentioning that. Um, but yeah, I just
So think on
like
that line though. There's no songs about the Chandrian. And what did they say?
oh,
What
but
did
the
they
dad
say
was
when they
working
got
on.
there? They said somebody must have been singing something they shouldn't have.
Oh, I
Or
didn't clue into
no
that.
joyous songs about the Chandrian. There you go.
No, which I mean, I don't quite remember what he's
So
saying,
here's
but
my thing. I think it's
mm,
fairly like it's made fairly obvious that it was because of his father trying to seek out that story of the Chandrian that this happened.
I see. And so and because everyone in the caravan would have song, they bore witness to
Well,
that,
here's the thing. Is herein lies my question.
except for Ben.
Well, we don't know.
Well, Ben would have heard it. Well, that's true. They might have tracked him down. I don't know.
Is it because he sang it, or because he was asking too many questions? Because he was asking everybody like for information. So what I
Yeah.
don't know is, did they just get a hold of it, or is there some like sort of special he shouldn't have said it aloud, like Ben was worried about before.
Yeah, because they kept it very hushed.
There's a song earlier on page 27, 28 about the Chandrian, but it is
Oh,
not
but
a
it's not a
joyous song.
choice. My mistake. Okay, fair.
What do you think, Lo? Why do you think
That is
this happened?
that is interesting. I didn't even about the song thing. I want to say probably a bit of both, but if he was asking around a lot, and I mean they're a traveling, they went all over. Like he could ask anyone really. Um, so they could have heard about someone inquiring because they wouldn't necessarily know that he was writing a song.
The
He
whole
wouldn't
thing
just
is
outright tell
about the
people.
importance of names. I wonder if speaking the names aloud had their power. But here,
Ah.
let me
And
actually.
they seem to have the power to teleport. Yes, they do, because and into shadow as well.
Yeah, they
They
kind of
kind of
fade
teleport
into
with
shadow
shadow.
like
Vampires.
Myrddraw.
Yeah, Midral. Yeah.
Um, heck. Chapter
Someone's parents, he said, have been singing
60.
entirely the wrong sort of. Hello, Ember Interlayer. I imagine you like the book. I can tell from your name. Welcome in.
So
I've been
he
singing the
says
entirely
two
wrong sort of
names.
songs.
He says
Oh, I see.
He says Lanray, which has been said multiple times before with no
Yes.
consequences, and he said Lyra.
Yeah, Lyra was weren't they
Lyra, I don't think has ever been mentioned before that, right?
No. Who was Lanry and Lyra though? I can't. Because it was the story of Lanry that they.
Lanray was the guy who who Ben started to tell him had used uh, 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 um, sympathy
Oh, right.
badly to some terrible consequence.
Right. There was a kingdom, I think, and yeah, a chief, I think, maybe a king.
Emberint Elir, hello.
Hello. And especially since the other times. Oh, so perhaps the speaking of the names called it to them, and especially since the other times their names have been spoken has been in fear, whereas this time it was not. It would have been. That's fair. It would have been kind of confident.
I'm still sticking to my
Glad
either.
you're joining the conversation, by the way, Ilir.
either it's because he's been asking around, or because I don't think anyone said Lyra before, and I'm wondering if that is a because they were talking
'Cause it was
conversationally
mentioned.
about Lanre multiple times.
Yeah.
And I don't remember Lyra before that, but maybe I'm wrong.
Was it said when Ben was talking with the father and the mom? Or was it only, or is it most recently only when Ben told uh Kavoth? I don't
Um,
quite remember.
so Ben asks him if he knows the story, and he said Lanre was a prince or a king, someone important. He wanted to be more powerful than anyone else in the world. He sold his soul
Mm-hmm.
for power, but then something went wrong, and afterward, I think he went crazy, could never sleep again, blah blah blah.
Right, okay.
And he does not mention anyone named Lyra in that conversation.
But Lyra's brought up between Ben and the parents, right? So, or someone brings Lyra up.
This is also a magic word.
World, yeah.
World. Oh, this is word. Um, where is it?
Interesting.
Chapter 12.
12.
These.
Puzzle pieces fitting. Oh yeah, here we go. Over the last half year, he asked more about the Chandrine and less about Lanra, Lyra, and the rest.
Okay.
Most songs my father set to writing were finished. Yeah, so they did talk about Lyra.
So I don't think they ever said it aloud in these pages, but
No.
clearly it's a known name that people have
Yeah.
said aloud.
I'm sure they'll probably go into it more in a bit, just because, like, we have Lanra's story. I don't think we necessarily have Lyra's.
I wonder if it has something. So I think
Or it could be the same character, just a different name for them, because the names are very similar.
could be. I feel like it's either because they were singing it and something about that makes it special,
Yeah.
or he just asked around too much. He was
Yeah.
trying to find. It's like classic mob boss. Like he's asking too many questions.
Too many questions.
There's a quote
There's
earlier
a quote earlier.
about what can be
You can
hidden
go.
in childhood songs. So I definitely think the contents of different songs
Yes.
would be important.
Yeah, they do mention that quite a bit, and like they have a lot of the children's songs come up a lot in this book.
Yeah, it's a shame they don't have any rhythm.
Rhythm. I mean, I like them, but I see what you mean. No one's saying joyous songs of the changing because they get killed when they do. Yeah, no one really lives to tell that.
Yeah.
I am shocked I didn't clue into that song thing. That's wild. Maybe I was just too flabbergasted by, oh god, everyone's dead.
So you didn't at the time you didn't even consider why they were there at all.
No, because I mean, usually I don't really often think of I don't immediately think of why, because I'm like I don't even know who they are, what their motivations are. Like once I have a snippet of that, maybe I'll think about it.
Well, quite
But
clearly they were the Chandrian Bluefire. Like
no, I know.
obviously.
I just mean like
And
what was their motivation?
like why would these
We don't
people
know.
who are basically like the equivalent of like the fucking devil suddenly come down
Show up
on,
and murder everyone.
on a very specific troop of
Yeah.
of traveling people,
Performers. Yeah.
I'm just sorry. I'm bordering on being mean about it.
Oh no, it's okay. No, I just I
yeah.
didn't really it didn't go for me. I was also
My first thought
I mean,
was like, why are they here? Oh, that's why.
yeah. I mean, I was also like charging through about like 100 pages on in like one night.
They
But,
did not decide to leave Kvoth alive, from what I read. They were getting ready to kill him, got distracted, and then whatever force appeared, and they fled. That is how I interpreted that. They were
Yeah, I
like,
think
we're gonna kill him, and then they was like, oh, you talk out of turn, I'll torture you all. Remember who I am.
yeah,
I'm your lord.
Helix Helix or Helix. He
Heliax.
Helix.
Heliax.
Helix. Uh,
Heliax?
Himliax.
See me in
Um,
Haliax down by the schoolyard.
yeah, the it is interesting with him because
Halifax,
he
yes.
Facts. Uh, um,
That's how I read it
yeah,
at
it was.
first. I read it as
I read it.
Halifax. And I was
I
like,
read it as
oh
Lord
no, that's
Helix.
wrong.
I was like, oh, the stupid Pokemon memes rubbed off on me. But no, just the hierarchy of their group. I was like, okay, interesting. So that's but it makes it seem like they're like Cinder, who was the one who was originally going for Kavoth with the white hair. Um, like he kind of
White
seems like he's
everything.
acting in his own, yeah, like he would act in his own interest,
He's
but
white.
he can't. So, well, the funny thing is when they introduced him or when Rothfuss described him, I went, "Oh, he's anime as fuck." Oh my god.
Yeah, he's just a full-on anime character.
Everyone looks realistic. He's got just the big old anime
A fire
fucking
name and an
shonen
ice thing.
villain. Yeah.
Nice.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, that was interesting. But I took it to also relate to like Ash, like Cinder, and then what follows Cinder,
Yeah,
Ashes,
like
so
ash gray
white.
as opposed to ice white.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I took that as. But that is an interesting comparison. I just want to know more about the Chandrian, and I don't know how much we'll know.
Oh, we'll find out.
I know, but with what Arius said, I was like, "What do you mean I won't know?" But he might just be like leading me astray.
Blue tinged fire.
Yes,
Yeah.
which is the indicator that hey, these guys are Chandrian.
Now,
Yeah.
is it just when they're around fire is blue? That was not
Clear, right?
the fire that he set in his parents' wagon was. He explicitly said, I think, that it wasn't blue.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was his own. Like he just
But
lit a candle and then it flared
was
up.
that because those guys were gone, or because he lit that fire?
Yeah, I want to say that. I mean, I think Aries had said to me that it was whenever they're near, fire would turn blue or tinged blue.
Hmm.
I don't know for sure though. Um, and I mean, we don't know for sure from those 20 pages because it is kind of intentionally vague. I like to think it was because they're gone, but
Also, when I hear blue flame, that's propane.
mm.
That's
Fair.
like,
Yeah.
I think there was something when Ben was teaching him where they were talking about flame colors and different and like something what was causing those, and I was like, propane. Like obviously that's what's causing blue flame.
Interesting.
So I wonder if when they go near stuff, they turn into Hank Hill.
Propane. God damn it, Bobby.
God damn it, Bobby.
Bobby. But yeah,
Does it
that
look
was
like I know what a JPEG is? Sorry, I have Damon screaming in the background.
I wonder. I was like, I didn't know if it was my neighbor or it was on your end. But no. Yeah, it was a very hard hitting chapter, and I know we'll talk more about um the like
Reactions.
reactions, grief, descriptions. Yeah.
Copper also produces blue flame, yes.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Actually, wait, no.
This
Does
is thicker than I
propane
remembered.
produce
Everything
blue
to the
flame,
heart.
or is it colored? Like, is it dyed? Not dyed, but like, do they put something in it to make it blue? I know they put something in it to make it smell because it's odorless.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know.
Mm.
yeah, if you burn copper, it burns blue. If you ever like see a penny burning or something,
Interesting.
alcohol can burn blue as well.
Oh yeah, that I knew.
Although I think it often burns clear. No, wait,
Mm.
it's methane that burns clear. No,
Hmm.
sorry, methanol, not
Methanol.
methane.
Mm.
Sorry,
No, it's okay.
science nerding it up. All right, so
Chapter 17?
chapter 17 is another break from the story. Bast offers his condolences, and Kvoth's like, that's fine, goes to get firewood. Bast and Chronicler make up, and Kvoth starts crying out of earshot.
Right. Yeah.
So the Chandrian just reek
Chandrian
of
just
alcohol.
reek of
Yeah.
alcohol, got you.
They're
Yeah.
just boozers.
They're just-
There's just
Everyone's
there's
all-
so much alcohol that it permeates the air around them.
Everyone's all freaked out. They're like, oh my god, they're like super strong magic users. How can they turn flame blue? And they're just like, like hiccuping and just drinking a bunch.
They're basically Jack Sparrow.
But you have heard of me.
You are, without a doubt, the worst pirate I've ever heard of.
You have heard of me. That's the best line in any of those movies.
I love the background on that too.
Yeah.
So I have a question written down here. How much do you think Voth's story, or that whole story in general, influenced the sudden loss of animosity between Chronicler and Bast? Do you think it was unrelated, or do you think the contents of his story made them realize that they should make up? And
That's interesting. Ooh.
or was it their inherent attraction to one another that made them realize they wanted make-up sex?
I was gonna say the sexual tension.
I mean,
That's interesting.
I mean, he's like a sexy goat man with sparkly blue eyes. So.
It's true. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. I
Both.
want to say
Both.
maybe yeah, but yeah, because column A and column B, yeah, like
Both sexual tension, and no, probably not the first one. Although, based on the rest of the book, maybe.
yeah, I don't know, because I feel like I mean there was definitely, I mean the fact that he pulled the iron back like chapters before he was like okay. I'm not gonna do anything to you, and then they just kind of calmed down. Like they'd already kind of set up that they were gonna calm, like
Yeah.
they were in a calm state, and they needed to talk it over. But that did reflect, like, but like, or actually, I wonder if the previous interlude, like, I can't remember what chapter it was between, but if that scene with him trying to bind him with iron was very close to, you know, something like about him trying to call the name of the wind, or his parents and whole troop dying, like that would be
I'm not
like I feel like I want to keep an eye out for that, but I don't remember where it was.
I'm not sure whether I mean that it had like the exact content of the story had a direct influence on their actions, but more of the general vibe and like sadness of it made them realize how stupid it was that they were
Like they were influenced.
yeah, less of a yeah, whatever. It was just a side thought,
Less
really.
of like a narrative choice, more of a this is what they're feeling, so they feel now maybe we should talk
right,
after hearing
yeah. Just
after hearing that
emotions
sad
like
story.
oh, okay, I feel bad now.
Man, Quote had a rough life. I should say sorry to that guy. Yeah.
When he was
Probably.
Bast was crying immediately before that.
Yeah. Bast is also a very emotional character, which is interesting. Same with, I mean, well, Coat has a lot of has gone through a lot as a child, so it doesn't really show a lot of emotion right now. But, Yeah, Bass definitely shows more.
Both trauma dumped and
Trauma
they
dumped, and they went, "Oh, okay, our issues don't
yeah.
matter. Do you good?" Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, I mean that's sort of what I was thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And then they made the sex eyes across the room at each other.
Yeah, and then and then Patrick and then Rothfuss wrote out a whole scene with them, but thought I better not, and just deleted it.
His editor was like, "Dude, you can't. I'm sorry. You've already used up your quota of
Quota
saying the word whore. You get exactly 20. You can say it 20 times.
Once per chapter.
It's like the fuck quota in which sounds worse when I say it like that. In PG films, you could say it once. PG-13,
right,
I should
yeah.
say. PG-13.
Right. Interesting. But yeah, that was a nice little interlude chapter.
Yeah, it was nice. And it was nice to see that even though Kvoth is hard, he is also soft. But like,
He's just soft boy.
not obviously he is like a kind person, but like he's not just he's not just a myth that, you know what I mean, right?
Yeah,
like
more
he's just a
human-
guy.
Yeah, more human emotions. Yeah.
Like his initial like, oh no, it's fine, time heals all wounds. It's like, I mean, yikes, dude.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I actually felt better when he was crying at that.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, okay, good. He
Yeah.
has a soul.
He properly processes, as opposed to just shoves everything in the back of his mind, or just practices Stoneheart constantly. He's in a constant state of Stoneheart.
Yep. Chapter 18.
Oh,
Kvoth puts his wilderness survival skills to use and dissociates. He dissociates, vegans out, and eats a mushroom. This week on Kvoth Gear, Kvoth dissociates. Kvoth becomes a vegan, and Kvoth eats a mushroom.
Both copes for a while.
Well, I did write down a quote. There are times when reality is nothing but pain, and to escape that pain, the mind must leave reality behind. And I wrote that down not because it's poignant, which it is, but because it is the driving force of existential horror.
Yeah.
Or Lovecraftian style horror. The idea that the only way for our minds to handle some things is to not, and to basically the only way to cope with a reality that makes no sense is to is to go into unreality.
Yeah.
I just thought that was interesting. Parallel.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, for Kvoth's case, I mean, his escapism became more so with the lute, because he would play until like his fingers bled, you know. Yeah, that was very interesting.
I always like wilderness survival stuff. So that was I have a wilderness survival background, so it's always very nice.
Fair enough.
Chapter 19. Kvoth continues to survive in a wilderness for months. I didn't really pay too much attention to exactly how long it was, but I kind of clocked that it was around 6 months that he was out in the woods for. And he was essentially becoming one with his loot. Then the strings broke, so he started walking south to find the city, or a city, where he could get new strings. After he avoided people on the road for a while, he is given a ride by father and son, Seth and Jake. And I was curious whether Patrick Rothfuss is the type of person to reuse names, or if this is the same Jake from the chapter 1. Because the Jake from chapter 1 was quite old.
Was he in the inn?
In the inn. Then again, I don't know how old Kvothe is.
Yeah, that's true.
Because this Jake is young. That Jake was older.
Yes.
And
yeah, because if Kvothe's like in his 40s, then...
There's no reason he would recognize Kvothe as a...
Right.
Like, he was 11 or 12.
Right, yeah.
But then again...
Striking hair.
Would Kvothe recognize him?
More than likely, I think, maybe.
And even if he didn't, like, wouldn't it have been mentioned? Maybe, I don't know. I'm wondering if this is he came here afterwards because he remembered this is where the farmers were.
I think it says Kvothe is no older than 30. I think younger in the present time.
It's hard to tell because he simultaneously says he's lived like 1,000 lifetimes and then says he looks like he's like 20. So it doesn't actually.
It's the
and
Canadian
it says he's younger than he
Ichiban.
looks. So.
And I feel like that ties into the whole like the myth of like Kvothe, the bloodless Kvothe, the king killer. No one really knows a whole lot about this guy.
Yeah.
Other than that, he's like a famed, story.
But the time scale of this all is not clear at all.
Yeah. I think that is an interesting catch about because I didn't catch on to the Jake thing.
So it's perfectly possible that he just used the name Jake twice.
Perhaps, yeah.
Like you.
But I mean, these people are probably going to come back in because I mean, I know we've only read one more chapter after this, but he's named them, so I imagine they're going to come back more.
I will say that assumption is not necessarily the case. I name characters in passing all the time just because it's
just adds to the story.
Adds to the story.
Okay. Fair enough.
But maybe we'll see.
Yeah, maybe that also might be me just going off of like that's more like film and show logic.
How surprised were you that they were kind? Like they just come up to a random kid on the road after all this.
I was
like,
genuinely very happy, but I wasn't surprised.
Great people. I mean, it's just usually they're not like in fantasy, and everything else is like the road is awful. Like people suck. Yeah. And then this is like...
Yeah. The whole town, too, is like... I mean, in the next chapter they go into it, but the whole rest of the town is not great.
It kind of like, oh, okay, nice, cool, good people.
Yeah. One little piece of, positivity.
I mean, I know everybody in the...
sludge.
Everybody in the caravan was good, too, but, like, this is just a random farmer on a road with thousands.
But the good people died.
Good people died, yeah.
So we don't want anything to happen to Seven Jake.
You know what they say.
Good people die?
Only the good die young.
Oh my god, that's fair. Yeah. It was nice to read.
The scale of the road was confusing. He said it was the size of a wide river, or the width of a large river. Right. I don't know if you've ever seen a large river, but they're like a quarter mile across.
Yeah. Massive.
Or even if it's half that size.
Yeah.
The widest road I've ever seen is that one in, is it South Korea or China? That's like 18 lanes. And it's maybe a couple hundred yards at most.
Yeah.
Like, the scaling doesn't make any sense. This is another one of those, like, kind of exaggeration things that I don't know if that's intentional or if he's just didn't really think about it too hard when he was writing that. A big old river next to your place. Nice. Have you
I
ever
mean,
seen a road as wide as that river?
I feel like part of that, to me anyway, like that reading those exaggerations, I kind of just took it as this is a child, like he's speaking from his child's perspective or
He
his
said it with
from
such
his.
authority that if it was just like it was as if or whatever, or it seemed like, but no, he said it was this.
Yeah,
Like he just says it with such authority that it's a little like,
there's just wide ass
huh?
roads.
I mean, and if I go into chapter 20,
Hmm.
I wrote down that he describes the city of Tarbean, or however you say it, Tarbeon,
Yeah, I said Tarbean.
Tarbean. He
Mm.
describes it as it would take a day to walk across. Now,
Yeah,
let me tell you, if you were to walk for a day, you would cross you'd cross half of Long Island.
oh
And that's like Long Island's like big. It's not even like the bit from Spider-Man, the
yeah,
game, like it's like
yeah,
3 or 4 times bigger than that.
yeah.
So, what?
This place is fucking
You're telling me
massive.
this thing's 4 times the size of New York City, like one of the largest cities in the world, of which
Massive.
contains like 9 billion people or whatever, 8 billion. Another like,
Perhaps.
okay, that's wrong. That's not possible. Now maybe
That's
it's
fair.
really really windy, but like that's clearly not what he meant. He was going for scale, but I
Yeah,
don't think it matters. It's just like I can't quite get the scaling of things in this.
that's fair. Um, I mean, I think it's also betting on. I mean, who's like? I mean, I certainly didn't know the like what you like the comparison of what you gave of
Well, it
Long Island.
seemed so big to me. I was like, man, imagine walking across an entire city. Would it take me an entire fucking 24-hour like day?
It is that is a yeah. If you think of it like that, that is
Like assuming that I could walk at
well,
the same rate for an entire day,
yeah.
or even just like if I was hiking for a day. Although maybe he means like a day's hike, which would be like maybe 8 hours.
A day's hike, yeah.
But even then, regardless, I also wrote down that the name Tarbian. I noted that like a lot of words are like a syllable away from words in Wheel of Time, nicknames.
Yeah.
It's very like, oh okay, yeah, no, that's different.
Yeah.
I don't know why that is. I'm wondering if he is a fan.
Fair. I think there's a bit of lag on my end. I might have to fix something. Like for you. Am I still moving? Okay.
Yeah, you look fine.
Okay. Okay, I think you're fine now.
It's
Never
like
mind. I think
you
we're
mean
good.
like camera lag?
Yeah, I think we're fine now.
Oh, okay.
Might have been my internet. Anyway.
Let me actually read the chapter summary. So Seth, the older guy from the farmer, offers to let Kvoth stay on their farm, but Kvoth gets scared and goes to find some strings for his lute. Then he's beat up and his lute is broken, and he goes to sleep in an alleyway.
And I finished the chapter and I felt unbearably sad. I went, "Oh, this is where we picked.
Yeah,
Neat.
nice.
This is the cutoff point that we said, "Yep, this is a good point."
We
didn't know.
We didn't know.
We didn't know.
That's my excuse. I didn't know. I didn't know.
Yep.
I didn't know, officer.
Yeah, just the shit that he goes through in this village town. I was like, "Oh my god!" Like, because you get a little
Literally
taste of
kick a
this.
guy while he's down.
Yeah, like and it hurts more because he had that experience of meeting Seth and Jake, and they were so nice and kind to him, and they brought him. They he went on their cart or whatever and brought him in, and he thought about them too. He was like, "Oh, I remember they said I could come and visit them on their farm or something," and then he just tries to fall asleep by a bookstore entrance, the guy kicks him and he gets to go sleep in by a crate, and I'm like, oh, okay.
I will say, I
Welcome.
don't know if he. Well, actually, he said at the end of that chapter, he said he was there for 3 years. So I'm wondering. I was gonna say he could just wait like a week and they'd probably come back, but he probably did that in those three
Yeah,
years. We'll see.
yeah. Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, because he said that was the first night or what?
First night of 3 years that he spent in the
First night
city.
of 3 years. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, so we'll probably like the next portion will probably be about his time in the city, and probably will. I'm hoping we'll get to Jake again.
That was it. That was all 20 chapters. We
That
did
was all
it.
20
That took
chapters.
us 2 hours to get through.
2 hours and a bit. Yeah.
And I mean, we could talk later about the format and whether we like the way we did that or not. But
Yeah, yeah.
the next point of order is to just kind of chat about the book so far. But before we do that, I'm gonna go run to the bathroom again
All right, cool. Have fun.
because I am a sieve.
Yeah, so now we're gonna focus on talking about themes, probably, and just the book in general. If you have any questions or points you want to bring up, just about everything we talked about for the first 20 chapters, just type them into the chat. Bathroom break music. What's this Spanish flea? Oh, that's a slower version. Anyway, so yeah, we can talk more about like I really want to get into a character analysis of Coat. I'm so interested in him and Bast and Chron. And I want to really get into that. I mean, we hinted at it, but the depiction of emotion, like the written description of just emotional states with Coat when he was experiencing, or Kavoth when he was experiencing grief, with Coat when he was remembering his past and he was just rigid and like just everything that you describes when it's like a very strong emotion. I just feel it. I'm just like, this is incredible writing. So I'm interested to get into that. You went to the bathroom and you got snack?
Hello.
What snack did you get?
Guess.
Popcorn? It looks small. Candy? Banana things? Banana candy? No, marshmallows. It looks soft. I don't know.
You didn't get it. You don't get to know now.
Oh, that's rude. All right.
It's-
I too have a snack. I too have a snack that's sponsored by the toilet. that's why I was so confused.
Well, I'm just quick. I just grabbed this out of the fridge.
Fair.
Um,
Oh, cheese. Is it cheese? Cheese.
Come on, you're supposed to be Canadian. It's cheese curds.
I know. Oh, cheese curds. Fair. I thought you literally just went and got like like you just ripped off pieces of the cheese from your dinner.
Oh no. No, these are just some curds I got. Which
The cheese tax has been paid.
I need fresh. I need somewhere that sells fresh curds around here.
Well, that's fair. That's hard to come by even here. Like, it's hard to find fresh cheese curds here. I can't speak.
It's not ridiculously hard to make it yourself. I will
No?
say, because you don't have to press it any.
True. What book, by the way? The Name of the Wind. At the top there, right above my head. That's the name of the book.
It works on both our screens.
I-
You
Oh
pointing.
yeah. Oh yeah, because I'm still on the left. Perfect. But yeah. Discussion.
Oh no,
What do we wanna?
glow went away.
Oh, lurk. Darn.
Yeah. Discussion points.
Where do we want to start?
Oh, well, okay. How you liking it?
Very much. I enjoy the style of like being like someone listening to a story. So I actually do like the whole like first person perspective on that. Um, I think the world's interesting. I like all the characters more or less. I have many questions about the Chandrian. um, but overall, I'm really liking it, and I can see why a lot of people like this book. Or book series, I should say.
So, I what hooked me initially was actually the first chapter with the Skrull. It just like something I don't know what it was, but I just loved that just the introduction of that creature.
Yeah.
So it kind of has moved a lot away from that for now, which is a little weird, but
Yeah. I'm wondering how they get brought into the story, like from, from the story that he's telling, because I don't, like, they definitely don't seem of, like, their world. I mean, neither did the Chandrian, but,
the Skrull.
what? Yeah. Welcome back also. Oh, yeah, the Unlurk command.
They feel to me like abominations.
Yeah.
As in something that was created that shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
What's the snack?
Yeah. Also is my new name now. Thank you, Nightbot. Perfect. Yeah, I will say it took me a little bit to get into it. The Skrull was interesting. But I think I get really interested, I think more so with, like, I think one of the big things for me is characterization and just, like, how a character is presented to me. When Chronicler got introduced and they were able to meet, I was like, oh, this is the story. I now have a really good idea, and I like these characters already. So that drew me in, because I was like, okay, now I
Right.
have this something to latch onto, that this is where the story's going. But but like everything leading up to that was characterization, world building, and everything there.
He was building
also
the
might have
wrong
been-
world, though. He's building the world after the story.
Right,
Which
which
was a
is an
little
interesting
interesting.
choice. Yeah.
Like, and again, we don't have any time frame for how long ago this story was.
Yeah. And it's interesting to think about that, because that style is reminiscent to me of the kinds of stories you would see where you know the outcome, like the reader knows the outcome, and then the rest of the book is about what leads up to that outcome, because that's the mystery of, it's like, oh, why did this happen? How did it happen? Right? And typically I don't really like those stories, because I don't really like knowing the outcome and then learning about
hate
it.
prophecy as a storytelling device for that exact reason.
Right?
I don't like learning how we got to something I already know. I like
that's
not
exactly
knowing where I'm going.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so they do this in the way that, I mean, we already know what the state of the world is, so it's not really like the book's not saying, well, this person died on the 8th of May and he was a hero, and this.
And the only thing we
It
really
just, it just
know
presents what's
about the
happening right
story
now.
is that he lives.
Yes, he lives, and there's spider demons.
Yeah, he kills a princess or whatever, angel.
An angel, yeah. So I don't mind that I'm just like, okay, like, I don't know enough, as opposed to, like, a really good example of the kinds of that kind of, like, prophecy thing for, like, a hard-hitting outcome for me is the beginning of, like, Disney's Tangled, where literally the first line starts out where he says, this is the story of how I died, and I went, all right. I don't, like, okay, like, I just didn't really like how that's how they're drawing people in.
Did he say
I
that?
was like, that's the very first line he says.
Did he die at the end?
He dies and then he's revived by her hair.
Oh, yeah, that's what it always is. That's always a bait and switch. It's always I die at the end of this, but actually I didn't.
But actually, and you wouldn't know that unless you read the story or watched the movie, or yeah. So I like that this is subtly doing it, as opposed to being hard hitting.
Yeah.
The outcome.
No, I think it's done really well. It feels less of it's not prophecy. It's just retrospective.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, Persona
I think
5 pulls
Persona
it off
5
well.
pulls it off really, really well. Yes. Because there's only pieces that you're getting. Have you played Persona 5, Benji? I thought I'd ask. I don't know. Anyway, okay, so the premise with Persona, or the setting, I guess, with Persona 5 is that you start off, you know, in in the current time, you're a band of like who you call phantom thieves, and you get caught for something. You don't really know what, but you get interrogated. And so Persona 5 frames it as in someone comes in to interrogate the leader of your party, and slowly she gets out the full story of what happened. And it goes back and forth between present day and past.
What movie is like that, or TV show, or something, where it's a confession essentially?
I can't think of one off the top of my head.
Like the
There's
story's
so
being
much.
told as a confession.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Not that I know of recently,
I
anyway.
don't remember.
There's so much content that you forget the beginning until you get to the bit and you're like, oh no, yes, yeah. Which, I mean, I don't have that oh no moment. I haven't, but I will. They really did handle that trope well because it still kept you guessing and then leads you on with more bits of mystery as it goes. Yeah, and like that's a good method to do for that.
I'm okay with prophecy as long as it's like, I mean, I am a broken record, but like the Wheel of Time prophecies, because they don't know whether they're true. They think they're true, but they don't actually have any idea. They're not told with certainty. They're told with
They're pretty vague too. Well, not vague, but like they're open to a lot of interpretation.
yeah. Even when we do get actual foretellings, they're very like, what the fuck does that mean?
The prophesied person will face the light and bring balance to the force. Like, and they're like, oh, how do they do that? Okay. But
But like
what does that mean?
the main prophecy is he will save humanity, or maybe he
Yeah.
won't.
He might destroy it.
It's like, okay, that's not really a prophecy, is it?
Yeah, it's
But I
one or the other.
I don't mind loose prophecies like that. It's just, I just don't like knowing what's gonna happen.
Yeah, agreed.
One's foreshadowing, the other is just lazy. In my mind,
How you
at least.
Yeah. Overall, how are you finding the book, by the way?
I'm like,
I think yeah.
it also took me a bit to get into, but not as in like I wasn't into the story, but like I wasn't at a point where I was like, I gotta read the next chapter.
Yeah, like, oh my god.
And I'm still not at that point, but I would attribute that to the writing of the chapter summaries. Because
Fair enough.
each chapter is bookended by I have to sit here and write for a couple minutes.
Yeah.
So it's a lot easier
Which
for me
I did
to
not
be
do.
like, okay, I'm done. I'm gonna go do something else for a bit.
Yeah.
But
True.
so I have some notes written down here, and I'll just kind of go through them.
Sure.
So my first note might be a bit funky, but I've noticed he tends to move to go towards doing visual storytelling as opposed to introspective, or extrospective as opposed to introspective. So, like the voice is obviously omniscient. Like it describes what people are thinking around
Yes.
them to a degree, but it often feels like it's being perceived from an observer other than the speaker. or other than the storyteller or the people in the story. It feels like it's being. It almost feels like it's being told by someone watching it happen. Which means the characters don't have a lot of internal dialogue. There's discussion of things that happen, like within, but it's not internal dialogue. It's more just processing, thought process. If that makes sense.
Yeah, so there's not a lot of like internal like monologuing, like,
Right.
right, of like reacting to certain things. Which, yeah, that is interesting. Now, I is that more apparent when he's telling the story or the present day?
Definitely more
Or
in
is
the
it just
present day, but it's
yeah,
also noticeable in the telling of,
yeah,
or at least I think so.
yeah, because that I'm wondering if that is. I mean, certainly it's a choice.
It's a very
But
subtle difference, which is it's a little hard to discuss because it's not quite. It's not very substantial of a observation, but it is definitely tangible.
yeah, because I wonder if that relates to like I when Chronicler was saying like I will capture everything you're saying, but I will make there will be like edits, small edits throughout. Like we're reading what like I assume would be what Chronicler's writing.
Right.
And that style of writing naturally as a chronicler like that is the style of annals and like medieval chronicles and everything, but there's a lot more emotion to this because it is also being a story being told by Kavoth or Cult.
But most of most of the emotion is external, like described, not shown, or shown, not told.
Yeah, oh, so like in terms of like Kavoth doesn't say, well, I mean he will say that he felt fear, but like I think I know what you mean. Like it's around like they're not saying I felt despair that weighed on me so heavily that I couldn't move. Where he just says I couldn't move. I looked for something normal.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
he tells about what he did in response to it, not how he felt about it.
how he felt. Yeah.
And I think that's just Rothfuss's style of writing. I don't think that's
Yeah.
necessarily a voice that he chose. I think, well, I assume he has other books, but I have to assume that that's a similar theme in the way he
Yeah.
writes. Like if you read, I don't know if I can draw a, because I write a lot. I write introspectively, a lot.
Oh,
So
interesting.
it's very
Okay.
different from what I am used to writing. So that is why I notice it so much.
That's fair.
I will spend like half-page paragraphs talking about just what a person is thinking.
Right. Interesting. Yeah. I don't really know if Rothfuss has done other books. I imagine so. I mean, other than obviously like the second book of this series.
I forgot there's more than one.
Yeah, there's two, and he's working on the third. One more. Oh, sorry. I'm getting an answer. One more book, right? Wise Man's Fear. Yeah.
I think either Tiefling or
Oh.
character I don't
What's that one called?
remember.
Okay. Apparently, there's a short volume in addition to Wise Man's Fear that he wrote that is kind of like a short story that covers. I mean, that maybe you heard him. That covers Bast a little bit more.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yeah. I assume that's Ares. Yeah, no, there's just a random stranger in my house.
It's actually
Hello.
Patrick Rothfuss.
he visited Ontario. He came to my apartment. He was so excited we were doing book club.
The Slow Regard of Silent Things.
There's a novella, The
That's-
Slow Regard of Silent Things. That's the one. Okay.
sounds like
cool.
some-
Thank you.
Sounds like something
Thank you,
you'd
Leah.
write.
Hashtag Slay Bast. We love Bast in this house. Yes, it's another character. Oh, it's another character you haven't met yet. There's a short story about Bast in an anthology too. Oh, there's an anthology as well. Oh, yeah. So maybe there's two. Okay. Huh. Well, I mean, you're giving us more information. I didn't know about either of those. Huh? I'm good. Okay. Aries says that the character we haven't met yet, which is the, I guess, focus of the novella, we're apparently going to love them, or at least I am, supposedly. But, yeah.
Are they an anime? Is that what that means?
Benji asks, are they an anime? They're very animated, is his answer. Oh, the glow says all sick. Okay.
Yeah, so the next thing I had was something I touched on earlier, which is that much like other epic fantasy writers, he seems to be like very preoccupied with sexuality. And I mean, we discussed a little bit why that might be, but it just feels like overkill a lot of the time. Like, it's like you could just like not. You don't have to.
Yeah.
There's no
yeah.
rule that says you have to.
Yeah.
Which it usually just makes me uncomfortable in stories.
Yeah.
Which is why I care mostly. But the other half of that is I feel like male fantasy writers spend like a lot of time talking about like female prostitution and stuff.
Yeah.
And that sort of like subservience, sexual subservience sort of side of things. And I realize I've never actually read a epic fantasy written by a woman. And I wonder if it's if it's similar, the opposite. Maybe they talk about dicks the whole time. I don't know. Gigolos.
Yeah, just turn the tables. Yeah. Oh, how the turntables of. Yeah. You know, it's kind of sad when I think about like my own my own experience reading it from a female identifying perspective anyway. In that it's, you know, I mean, just because it's so saturated into shows, TV, movies, books, that I just kind of read through it and I'm just like, yep, all right, yep, moving on. You know, like it's almost like I block it out when I read it.
It always takes me out of the story. It's the exact opposite.
Jarring, right?
It's jarring for me. And this is true in anything. Like if we're watching a TV show and two people start taking their clothes off, I'm immediately taken out of the of the narrative.
Yeah, which is, I mean, their intention is to keep people's attention with that visually. But it's just so out of the narrative. You're just like, oh, okay.
And it's not necessarily like it doesn't. Sometimes, a lot of the time, it doesn't fit. Sometimes it does fit, but it still doesn't feel. Yeah. It still jars me.
Yeah. And I find that interesting. Hi, Bo. The cat is here.
You want some
in
cheese.
Terms of like, you want some cheese, Kerr? I find it interesting in that, okay, I guess he won't look up. He'll have examples like that, and then he will, you know, spend a good amount of time really developing, honestly, a very supportive, positive relationship, like with Kvot's parents. Like a very like loving kind of, but also like cheeky kind of thing. I liked their depiction of their relationship. I also know that Rothfuss is married. At least I believe he has a kid. He's a family, but it's just interesting that gets like to me. I just like I focused on that more than the mention of just like, oh, the prostitute's gonna take him into the tent. Ha! I was like, okay.
Well, it's just you get a lot of characters like talking about how they like to have a good girl on their knee. It's like,
yeah,
it's just not me, you know. It's not
Yeah.
for me.
I mean, not for me either.
The activity is.
What was it you said earlier in the stream? I need to get a good
Oh yeah, good.
true prostitute.
Yeah.
Hi, Bo. I have a boy cat named Boo. Oh, that's so cute. I love that. Please give them head pats. I will get them many head pats. Sorry, cat kind of took over. Please go on.
You also like to have a girl on your knee, referring to your precious kitty. Yeah. Her precious kitty. Okay. Oh, I was also gonna say, I just realized there's been exactly 2 women in this book. One of them
Yeah, there
is a
was
prostitute, and the other one
Shandi
is like
The mother. Yeah.
like written to seem very sexually open. I wonder.
Yeah, I did want to talk about
What was
like,
one of the
gender
Chandrian
representation.
a woman?
Were they a woman? I don't think so.
I couldn't.
I don't recall.
Like, I kind of clocked
They
that.
focused on.
He said men and women, but I don't think he actually described any of the women.
Yeah, no. He specifically focused on Heliax and Cinder.
Freud.
Cinder also might be a little bit androgynous. I kind of got that vibe, but anyway. Bonk VT. Yeah, I mean, we also still have yet to meet, I think,
The angel.
the woman, the angel, and/or the woman who Kvothe falls in love with.
I think it's the same
assume.
person.
Yeah, the woman who dies.
He falls
probably.
in love with her and has to kill her for some reason, and that
She gets possessed by
breaks
a
his soul.
Chandrian.
Something like that. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the classic Jon Snow.
Jon Snow.
We shoehorned in the entire 8th season.
Uh-huh.
What else I got?
Yeah, it is a little. I do wish that there was some more variety.
It got so bad in the. I mean, fucking Sapkowski.
Oh, The Witcher.
Sapkowski. He's a fucking horn dog. It's ridiculous.
He is.
It got so. It got to the end, or by the time it got to the end, I was just like quaking in my boots, like terrified that someone was just going to sexually assault Ciri at any given point. Like, that is just
Yeah.
the general vibe of the story. It's just.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. And it's. I mean, and it adds to the severity too. With at least in Ciri's situation, because she's this young woman, and you know, I believe she's pretty. Like, I don't actually know how old she is in the book, but
I think she's 16 by the end.
fair.
I think.
But it reminds me of just like the sheer like just the shakes and just gross feeling that I got when like I watched the second last episode of the Last of Us show, because they have an example of like, well, they have sexual assault that doesn't fully happen, but it starts to happen, and I was like, nope, no thank you, don't like this, get this away from me. And I know it happens in the game too, which is a shame. I haven't played the game, but I've heard it happens. But yeah, I don't know, it's just uncomfortable. I don't know.
Well, I mean,
It's meant to be.
it's
but
meant to be uncomfortable, but like, you
But
don't
it's-
need
but
to
it's
put
just-
that in.
all the time. Like, if it's
It's like, yes, we know this is a thing that happens. It's bad. Move on.
yeah. Look at all this testosterone. Yeah, really. A preposterous amount of testosterone. Preposterone.
Testosterone.
Wait, do you know what I'm quoting?
No.
Power Thirst from College Humor. If you've ever seen those videos. I have at least the first one memorized.
I've been enjoying. Me and Damon have both been enjoying. I Think You Should Leave.
I've heard of that.
Excellent. Yeah. It's on Netflix.
Nice. Paris is incredible for a good laugh. It truly is. I have too much of those videos memorized.
What's this? This next one is interesting for me. I think you mentioned setting as well, and I don't know what you have to say.
Oh,
on
yeah.
that, but
yeah, world building for me.
So most medieval fantasy seems to be set in some form of Europe. This one seems like it's set in the New World. They've made multiple mentions to things that I know for a fact do not exist in Europe and never have, or like didn't exist in Europe until like the 1600s. Like they have corn, they have squash, they have poison ivy. Just the way they describe the general nature. It's one guy who wrote this, not a group of people. Or I mean, you know what I meant.
Yeah.
I was saying it in such a way that I was implying there were multiple people. And I will continue to do that because I'm an idiot.
Oh, no.
Oh, you're still not the corn. Still Saber was not referring to the corn and squash. But yeah, it seems very. It seems like I don't know if you've noticed that at all, or if that's just me. Definitely, squash and poison ivy are not at all native to Europe. So it's a fictional world, of course, but like usually it's based in reality to a degree.
Yeah. That was an interesting thing. I mean, like that. I mean, you basically said everything I wanted, like that on that topic. Yeah, like it is set in, kind of that New World setting, but not so much to the point of like it's still keeping to that kind of that like high fantasy.
Right.
You know?
It's definitely, it has a medieval Europe feel to it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just very interesting.
And the only other note I had on that, the only other note I had was the one on grief portrayal.
Yes. Yeah, I want to talk about this one extensively. Yeah, that. I mean, and tying into grief, like also bringing that back to that
just emotion in general.
Emotion, yeah. So that was one of the moments that really drew me in really quickly, like more than I was like, oh, like I just like this. It was in the middle of the chapter, was when Chronicler and Coat were talking, and Chronicler was talking about like the myth of this guy, and you know, he was like, oh, I could tell the story. But when, you know, Chronicler's naming like, oh yeah, the woman, or you know, the man who killed an angel, like I heard there was a woman involved, and then Rothfuss immediately goes into this really vivid description of Coates' reaction to hearing about this woman or about his past, and it's just the image that was painted. I was like, this is like I couldn't feel what he was feeling, but I could very strongly sense there was a lot here that he can't quite like process because he doesn't know how to really react when it's brought up. He probably didn't really think about it for a number of years, or he tried not to. And I really like that style in his writing, and that is once again brought forth when Rothfuss explains how Kvothe experienced and processed the grief of losing the troop and his family and his parents, because one of the more striking things that came from that like you and I also talked about it a little bit yesterday, but was that he was, it described the scene, he was like taking everything in, and instead of doing it like kind of that introspective, you know, inner monologue kind of thing, Rothfuss immediately went to describing that, like, the actions that Kot wanted to do, and that Kvothe was looking for some normalcy. So he would be like, I saw fire everywhere, oh, but there's this barrel needs to be emptied, it has water in it, that's normal. And he focused on that, and that was his own coping based on what he'd seen, which was really fascinating and just very, I could feel what
I found the passage you're talking about. I can read it.
Yeah.
So basically, Chronicler is telling Kvothe about how his myth is being corrupted story, and he basically he tells him something and he like passes it off as it's whatever, and then he just keeps giving him more and more egregious things, and he seems to be Kvothe seems to be a little bit less sure of himself each time, and then finally he says, Chronicler took an eager step forward, sensing victory. Some people say there was a woman. What do they know? Kot's voice cut like a saw through bone. What do they know about what happened? He spoke so softly that he was supposed to speak softly. He spoke so softly that Chronicler had to hold his breath to hear.
Yeah.
They say she... Chronicler's words stuck in his suddenly dry throat as the room grew unnaturally quiet. Kot stood with his back to the room, stillness in his body and a terrible silence clenched between his teeth. His right hand, tangled in a clean white cloth, made a slow fist. 8 inches away, a bottle shattered. The smell of strawberries filled the air alongside the sound of splintering glass. A noise inside so great a stillness, but it was enough. Enough to break the silence into small, sharp slivers. Chronicler felt himself go cold, and suddenly realized what a dangerous game he was playing. So this is the difference between telling a story and being in one, he thought numbly. The fear.
So good.
It goes on, but I'm not going to read it all.
Yes. That was the main portion.
Oh, and this is the face of a man who has killed an angel.
I see.
So that was something Chronicler thought.
Chronicler thought. Okay, so maybe not necessarily.
So it might be metaphor.
Maybe. Interesting. But yeah, he's just like, Rothfuss does a fantastic job with depicting the kinds of emotions that he's going for.
What is chat
Real
on?
good. Read the book.
What is chat on about? Tuca and
well,
Birdie.
Love to Tuca and Birdie deals with essay. Anyway, not book related. I haven't seen Tuca and Birdie. I've heard good things though.
I don't know what that is.
It's an animated anthropomorphic bird show about, I think, 2 either best friends or lesbians. I don't know. Their names are Tuca and Birdie. They're great.
Why not both?
Why not both? ¿Por qué eran los dos? Yeah, I'm gonna pull up I haven't looked at the list that I had pinned on Discord.
So you had
else I could add.
Narrative, reading from Kot's perspective versus Chronicler's.
Right.
Talked about that. Character analysis, what do we think of them, how they're presented?
We could go into a little bit of that.
The world building.
Okay, more or less talked about that, yeah.
The general touch point about getting into the book. We talked about
Which
that.
we did, yeah.
I had... we talked about all this.
Yeah, I think...
I said also analysis of character motivations and influences. I think that's more character... that's good.
That ties into character analysis, yeah. But we can. I mean, there's characters who we haven't gone necessarily in depth into. I'm very interested, and I don't know if we'll get to see more of him, but in Ben. Because I
don't think we're ever going to see him again. I'm sure
right?
that was the last time we saw him.
Yeah.
He was a stepping stone character.
Yeah. Which is fascinating. I mean, I'm sure, his teachings will come back, be referenced a lot.
Yeah, I mean, he made a big influence on Kvothe, but He just
Mhm.
seems like one of those characters who's going to be around to teach a lesson and then
Mhm.
disappear.
Yeah. Yeah. Just very interesting. Um, and then like I generally, um, it's like I have a lot of questions about characters, and I know it'll just get revealed as the story goes on. Like I want to know more about Bast. I don't think we'll really get to learn much more about Chronicler, even though there is a story with Chronicler. We just don't have it. Um, Other than that, he's royalty.
Any chronicles.
And he chronicles, and he goes around. He is a patron to, or
Baron.
the Baron is his patron. Yeah.
Duke? Do you say Duke
maybe?
or Baron? It was
Maybe it was
Baron
Duke.
Grey something.
It was, yeah, wasn't it like Greyfellow or Greyfield or something?
That was the troop's patron.
Oh, right. Let's see. Where does he start talking?
I think he was talking about the Duke, but I could be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I wanted to ask you about characters, basically. Like motivations. What do you think are driving the characters? Like, what's Chronicler's deal? What does he want? What does he need?
Yeah. That's part of some of the questions that I want to learn about characters too, because we don't necessarily have a clear indication. But if I had to like base it off of the first 20 chapters, like, which was what we're doing, like to me Chronicler is very much like the equivalent of an eager monk who is just, or actually a better comparison would be a, oh, what are they called, a skald, someone who just, like, in this case in Nordic saga literature, someone who is a storyteller who goes and travels and tells stories, and they enjoy doing it.
Like Mimir?
Like me, yes, I guess like Mimir. So you say that, and I actually think back to the sagas, not God of War. I was like, yeah, like, wait, what?
Specifically from the hit video game series God of War.
Hit video game series. Honestly, he is a fantastic character in that game. He's just quippy.
You're on fire, Kratos. It'll pass. It's got to be his most well-known line now.
So good. I still need to play the new one. I haven't played Ragnarok, but I'll get it at some point.
Oh, you'll hear that line constantly. You'll love it.
I'm excited.
Every time he goes near fire, you're on fire, Kratos. Thank you. I didn't notice.
Love it. Yeah, like Chronicler, I feel like he just, I mean, it seems like he wants to kind of, I don't know, escape's the right word, but he doesn't go by his royal name, like his actual name. He just wants to go by Chronicler, and that's what he's also known as.
It didn't sound like he was unwilling to go by his other name. He just, nobody calls him that anymore, really. So he was just taken aback.
Oh, yeah, that's fair.
Or like, oh yeah,
but
that's
like,
my name.
it wasn't like it didn't seem that it was like oh, this is a dark story that I am not telling you. Anime protagonist number one.
My thought on Chronicler is he is the audience. He is us.
Yeah.
It's the sympathetic character in the narrative as a whole, I think, is him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In Kvoth's story, I think obviously Kvothe is the sympathetic voice, but
yeah,
and he's the outside observer, Chronicler.
Yes, yeah. uh, and with like the whole story will reveal like Kvotth's motivations. Like we already know his initial motivation is that he
He's a
wants
child.
to learn. He's a child, and he wants to learn magic. Very specifically, they mention the power of knowing the name of the wind. So he wants so that mastering that was probably going to be a big thing for him, if he does that. But so that'll be revealed, and so then we have Chronicler, which I agree, audience, that makes sense. Bast, I don't really know. Well, I mean, his motivation is to look after Kote. They seem to have a really close relationship. I don't know how, because we haven't gotten to that yet. Other than like apprentice master, maybe.
It feels a little bit like he is
Mentor.
He is the Kvotth to Kvoth's Abinthy.
Yeah. That would be interesting.
I mean, not so
like he was
literally,
teaching
but...
Bast. Yeah, but maybe he had some things that he could teach from his experiences. I don't know.
I also feel like there's a situation there where Kvotth rescued him from something.
Yes.
That feels like it has that sort of vibe.
Yeah, because I mean, he would have left whatever life he had to go live with Kote and run an inn, from what I understand. Being royalty too. That sounds like a
he's running from
situation
something.
Where he's running from something. Yeah, because he doesn't really. He never brings it up. I think it was.
Kvotth introduced
It was either
him.
Chronicler or Kvotth introduced him. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he said you're such and such of the blah 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 blah. He didn't say he's royalty. He did, or did he say prince?
No, he said prince. Yeah, he said he's prince of the something, like it sounds like a kingdom, but it's a family. And then he said
it
Prince
earlier.
of Twilight. I think. I think he said he was a Prince of Twilight.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, maybe there's something that Bast, like maybe the motivation of Bast is that being with Kote or Kvotth and learning from him and living with him or whatever is just gets him away from what he wants to be far from. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I wonder. I guess we'll find out. Hopefully.
Yeah, I hope they get into it. I mean, they might take 2 books. I don't know. They might take 3 books, because that... Actually, I learned the other day, my friend was saying that... I think I told you originally the joke of, like, if anyone mentions the how the 3rd book is going to the author, he just extends the deadline. But I heard the other day that my friend was telling me that it was apparently supposed to come out last July, and it got delayed. But I was amazed that it even had a date originally to begin with. So I was like, damn, all right. So it might be close to finished. I don't know.
Winds of Winter?
Winds of Winter?
Oh, that's the Song of Ice and Fire book that's taken him like 15 years to write or something.
Oh, I didn't even know. I know he takes his time with the game, with the Song of Ice and Fire books. Yeah, and I'm so intrigued by the Chandrians. I really love them. And I don't know how much we will know, because they seem kind of like intentionally vague.
Maybe not in this book.
Yeah, maybe
if it was
Wise Man's Fear
intended to be a trilogy, then there's a good chance we won't understand them in this book.
Yeah. That would be nice if it was a trilogy. And I'm interested, I'm curious about the novella and the anthology. I'll have to look into that.
Oh, we forgot to ask the important question at the beginning. What should we name this fucking book club?
I mean, we kind of mentioned it, but we didn't make a poll.
We didn't have options to put on the poll.
It's true. We were thinking of a couple names. We came up with some punny ones, but they were punny.
They're interesting, to say the least.
What was the Ink and Paper Club? I like that one, but
it's very generic. But then again, I don't think we have a theme.
Yeah, if we wanted to go by a theme for the stream,
If anyone's curious, I have
a stream theme.
a list of literally 100.
I vote for Aviary Bakery. That has nothing to do with the book. Oh my god. Aviary Attorney, Aviary Bakery.
Oh, I reached my character limit of 500. No, I can't post that
dang it.
entire thing into chat.
Exactly why it's perfect. I second the motion. Oh my god.
Is that the name of a video game?
I mean, Aviary Attorney is. Glow and I played it. It was pretty wonderful. I don't know what bakery pulls from, but sounds like it's settled. All who opposes say nay. I third the motion. Well, goddamn.
It doesn't even make sense.
It does. Birds bacon with no nays. This motion pass. It can be the secret name. We need. It should relate somewhat to books though.
The book,
I don't-
book bakery. Ugh.
The
We bake books.
we bake books. How much you want to buy them for? You want some books? I got them baked to perfection.
Oh, that's weird. It's drawing my mouse over your face. Because
That's weird.
I'm hovering over the Discord thing, but I actually have a window open on top of that, but it's still showing the mouse.
Oh, that is weird.
Weird.
Aviary Library.
We're not birds.
What? Boyds? I'm not a boy.
You're not a boy. Not a boy, you schmuck.
If I had a Aarakocra VTuber, maybe, but
A what? A what now?
Aarakocra, the bird people for D&D.
That sounds like St. Cockring.
No. I forget how they're written, but
The Page Pals.
it sounds adorable.
The Literary Ladies.
I like that one.
The Literary Legion. The Page Protectors.
The page for that one killed me. It was so funny. Like, I got off Discord yesterday and I just kept laughing at that to myself. I was like, oh, that's so good.
I kind of like it, actually.
The page protectors. It's pretty cool.
It's very good, but it doesn't scream book club. It screams. I am a superhero who
I'm a
is also
superhero.
a librarian in his
Yeah. Yeah.
Page Protectors.
Page protectors. Defender of the page.
Defenders of the book. We have to go to Southern America and put banned books on all the shelves
Oh, yeah.
whenever they get taken off.
Perfect.
Bible Man?
Knock off Bibleman.
Who's Bible
Chip
Man?
off the old librarian.
What's a Bibleman?
Bibleman. I don't know.
Bibbleman. Bibble. You can tell I'm at that point in the night where I'm starting to babble. Bibble babble.
Bill Babble.
Bibble babble babble.
That's okay. We basically reached the 3-hour mark. It makes
butt.
sense.
Bubble 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 butt.
Well, if we want to think about some names some more, I will actually write down some of these. But in the meantime, do we want to?
Does anyone else think? Sorry to cut you off. Does anyone else have anything they want to say about the book before we move on to other stuff? You gotta wait for them to formulate the thought and then type, which is really hard to do.
Drop names in the Discord.
We can. I could throw you all 100 at you.
Yeah, we had a bunch of them.
You'll never guess where. I definitely came up with all of them myself.
Yeah, no.
The reading ringleaders. Yikes. The Page Posse.
Page Posse, nice.
The clever
I
cult.
would like to have something with Chronicle in it, but that's also me coming from the medievalist, the fucking, Icelandic annals researcher in me. So
No, Glow, I was not kidding. Literally exactly 100 of them.
yep.
Apparently, if you tell ChatGPT to give you a long list, that equals 100. Exactly.
God damn.
Literary lads.
The lads.
Lads. Yeah, so if no one has any other orders of business related to the book, how did we feel about the amount of reading?
I thought it was good. I was fairly busy the past 2 weeks, but I did find the time to read it. Now, I didn't really have a lot of time to make a time. I was relying mostly on memory for me. But I also don't know if more time would do that because I literally didn't read the book for 4 days.
It was good. So the
Yeah.
next 150 pages. So the way we came up with that is 150 pages is a little more than 10 pages a day over the course of 2 weeks.
Yep.
Which seems reasonable. And then we just went to the nearest chapter. The next one is 42. Chapter 42 is at around 300. Or 41.
42. Bloodless. Oh, that's gonna be a good chapter to end on because we will. That's gonna be a huge chapter, and we're gonna be like, oh, I want to read more. Bloodless.
The Bloodless.
And then that'll take us halfway. So we'll have at least 2 more, or hopefully 3 more book club sessions if we do that amount.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. Chapter 21
sounds
to
good.
42.
In terms of a day, I was actually going to ask you, Benji, did you want to, run a couple days by, like we could do a vote or something of hey, what day works for y'all to do a book club thing? Or we just stick with Wednesdays and just do it every...
I think Wednesdays are best for me.
Wednesdays are good for me too. I usually, if I'm not streaming something myself, I'm co-streaming, so.
Glow, I would beg you to reconsider Bound Together.
I mean, I like it for the Name of the Wind reference,
Yeah. I mean...
but also.
I feel like
Bound
that's
Together, not a BDSM podcast.
I feel like that's a subreddit that I definitely am not following.
It was good though, Glow. I liked it. That was actually really good for Name of the Wind.
But I like Twitchy Tales. That's good.
Oh, Twitchy Tales is kind of fun.
Pros people.
Pros people? Oh my god. The pros peeps.
The page pros, but spelt like pros.
Oh, I like that.
Why did I say that like I was looking it up discreetly? No, that was from memory. Okay, now I have to look it up because I'm pretty sure that is a legitimate subreddit.
Page pros. Howdy. Hey, Bass, how you doing? Bass, have you read The Name of the Wind?
Yes, it is.
Oh, no.
It is a subreddit. It's a small one though, but it is exactly a BDSM.
I'm right. No,
subreddit.
not yet. Oh, the author is familiar. Yeah, the author, Patrick Rossford streams. He, I've been into a couple of his streams a while ago. He played, Disco Elysium.
Disco
But,
Duck.
yeah. Go Duck. But yeah, he's done Name of the Wind, Wise Man's Fear, apparently a novella and an anthology, probably other books.
We read the first 20 chapters. It's very good so far. It's a shame what's going on with ZA/UM right now. Who's ZA/UM? Is he streaming tonight? Oh, that'd be so funny. I don't think he is. Check. We just raid him. That'd be so funny.
The Disco Elysium devs.
Oh.
I was trying to resolve that to country names.
Yeah, same. He hasn't streamed in a while. Oh, really? Bummer.
I was thinking that maybe it was Zambia and no, I don't know what UM would be. Uganda. No. Man, what country names have a U and an M in them?
I don't know.
Uzbekistan. They got mechs there.
Uzbekistan.
They got Uzis and mechs.
That is 100% an anime. Look.
It's mechs with Uzis from Uzbekistan.
Oh no. I don't think that's a top level domain I can check. Fair. Alright, well, that sounds good. We've got some ideas for names. We'll probably do a poll. And we'll probably do the 2 weeks. I think so. 2 weeks from now, that's what is that? May 10th? Am I right? Yes. I know that because that's gonna be. Oh, I'm gonna be tired that day. That's okay. My work's doing a big archiving day. I have to stay in a musty old basement going through old files for like 8 hours.
You have to be in the Indiana Jones warehouse.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Top men.
Alright, well.
I'm gonna potentially be gone, I think, the weekend after that, so we should be safe.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I think I'm probably heading up pretty much the day after that, or the day, or like
okay.
day or two after that, so.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. Yo, just like that game I played, hopefully a car doesn't drive through the wall. That's fair.
What game? Wait.
Is that
what is that in reference to?
Yeah, which game is that in reference to?
No, well, I mean, what?
It's not your turn to die, right? Not that one.
No, I mean, like, what was that a reference to of what we were saying?
That's what I'm also asking. I don't know which one she's referring to.
Oh, Shadows of Doubt came out. A hand with many fingers.
Oh, that's the mystery game you and Bass were talking about, right?
Did you look at that at all?
No, but it sounded interesting from what you and
it's
Bass were saying.
procedurally generated
hand of many
crime
fingers.
solving.
Oh.
But it's like you actually have to like build up your case and like actually find clues and figure it out. But it's all procedurally generated.
Interesting. Oh, Amy going to the archives. Right, because that game was about... The whole premise of the game is that you're in an archive and you're trying to find out the conspiracy and link, articles together.
Speaking of Amy and video games...
yeah.
Have you played The Death of Sonic or whatever?
No, I want to.
I watched a playthrough of it. It's actually pretty good.
It seemed pretty fun. I think Glow played it too. But yeah, I want
the mini games look surprisingly difficult. Like towards the
really
end.
For like a visual novel style game.
Yeah, they actually have like a little Sonic running game embedded in it.
Oh, that's kind of fun. I heard good things about the life and death of Sir Branty. I told Ekami. Oh, right, you did. I told Ekami she has to play it for her birthday. Yes, because it's Amy, the character, the Sonic character,
birthday,
Amy.
yeah.
It's her birthday. Yeah.
So I have to play it on my birthday.
Birthday rules.
Birthday rules.
The way you phrased that, Guru, makes me think that that was a bad review.
Or did they love it?
Yeah, the ... implies that it's awkward. ...
Oh my gosh. Seeing ellipses sometimes, it just reminds me of... there was some, a partner that we worked with for like another job years and years ago, where they emailed and texted using ellipses so often, but I don't think they knew what it implied, because it sounded like I was like, oh, they're unsure, or oh, it's kind of awkward, but they're like just saying like hi or being like, how's your day, and I'm like,
They thought it meant a pause.
yeah, it freaked me out. I was like, are they upset with me? Like,
He's only ever done one or two. What's the fucking point of a critic who says no to everything?
Mm-hmm. Given its general sardonicism, everything comes off negative. Oh. But he does like things. Well, that's good. I would hope he likes things.
Oh, to bother you even more with Wheel of Time stuff, they caught Harriet McDougal did an interview recently, I think yesterday, on Twitch, and she messed up and said there's a new season coming out sometime this fall.
Oh,
and
shit.
Then she's like, but we don't actually know. They're keeping
Oh,
it under
no.
wraps.
Oh, shit.
Oops.
Oops. Well, hey, that's what you and I guessed. Probably the fall.
Is it going to be early fall or late fall, though? Because it came out in November before. But technically, September is technically fall. True. And I will say, Witcher just announced their third season.
Is it third season or fourth?
And it's almost exactly 2 months from the release date.
Oh, interesting.
It comes out in June 29th or something.
Yeah.
So, it seems like 2 months might be the hot spot, or the sweet spot for that sort of thing.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, I'd err on the side of caution and say late fall. But just because I know how long these things take, but...
Well, also with COVID fucking up their filming.
Schedule. Yeah.
Took them like twice as long to film because of it than they normally would.
Yeah.
Apparently, the third season is only going to take like 6 months to film, is what their plan is.
Oh, wow.
So
that's good. Wow. So they've announced at least 3 seasons.
Yeah. I mean, they're working on season 3. So my guess is, assuming that season 2 doesn't suck, which I don't think it will. I think it'll be really hype. As soon as season 2 either releases or just before it releases, they're going to greenlight season 4, is my guess.
Okay.
When they greenlit season 3, like a month or less than a month before the first season came out. So I figure it's like we've watched it and it's good and it's ready to go. Yeah, let's give this another season. So I imagine it'll be the same idea. Yeah. Okay. He does like things. I don't like things. Like things, just nah. I don't like them.
Nah, not at all.
Not a fan of things.
I'm gonna probably have to go to bed soonish.
I should probably go to bed soon.
We should think about who we might want to raid. Patrick Rothfuss is unfortunately not streaming.
Damn. Son,
I know.
Where'd you find that?
Damn, son. Damn, boy.
Damn, Daniel.
Damn, Daniel.
Damn, Daniel.
Damon's streaming. Of course he's streaming because we heard him.
Yeah. The only people I have are Damon and Silveretta Rose. who is doing Last of Us.
Oh, nice.
And you'll never guess what Damon's playing.
Oh my god, is it Halo?
Halo 3, actually, interestingly. He's been taking a break from
mistake.
Halo CE.
Oh, that's cool.
Because he already won
does he
every
speedrun
record in
3
that,
as well?
so he is, yeah. And he does now.
Nice.
He's just general speedrunner at this point. He just speedruns anything he can.
Fair enough. Well, there's Gabby Pabby Wabacus, who, I mean, she does a book club with her friend. I know that. And I also have Lloyd Lloydster and SCK Bounty, who's doing Pax Legends, I think.
I don't think alerts are working.
There's more soup!
Oh, that one worked.
Oh, it's a little slow, but I can see it. I'm at soup!
Wait, so you got him working. Okay. I'm also at soup.
I'm at soup. Yeah, we.
I'm at the
I
soup
just didn't get
store.
my.
There's more soup!
What do you mean you can't find them? I can't find them. There's more soup. There's only soup. Well, why don't we raid Damon?
Alright.
I don't know how fast my raid's gonna go through, but we'll see.
Slower than mine.
Yeah, that's true. Well, thanks everyone for hanging out.
Yeah. We'll see
was
you.
fun.
Yeah, make sure to write down your thoughts on our name
Yes.
for next time. And your assignment is chapters 21 through 42.
Yes.
And if you don't read those, you are going to the principal's office.
Straight to jail.
Right to jail.
Right to jail. You do this, jail. I haven't seen that in so long.
It's so good.
It's great. Have a good night. Everyone go sleep. Okay, we'll start the raid. It'll go in like hours because my computer's so goddamn slow.
I don't think
but
that's how raids work.
It's fine. Let's see if it works.
Oh, I need to actually put
Alright.
who I'm raiding, don't I? Not just /raid.
Probably. Well, I used
who is
it.
he?
I don't know if it's loading.
Norv Destroyer.
Norvi. Oh, it is going through. Wonderful.
Anal Destroyer.
Alright, thanks everyone. I'll take it to the stream ended.
Man, yours is so much slower than mine.
It is very slow.
Mine is ready.
Cool. Mine is, well, oh my god. I can't raid now. Okay, now I'm ready. Okay, do you want to just go?
It says you can't.
It says I can now.
Oh,
It's
is
just
that
delayed.
the... Oh, okay. Yeah, ready?
Yep. Alright.
3, 2, 1, go.
3, 2, 1.